Picking up the news, tell us wherever the ball lay. With the NFL, NBA, they box so. Sports news in the hands of a man with fair takes. Tell them, coach, statistics and realness that's being spoke. Either hit it for the win or they hitting the goalposts. Either way, we woke up to the news of the day. Any kid could call it, he like to talk it out with Ray. Fast breaks down the lane, they better move out the way, or they pulling from perimeter. Curry bury the trade, yeah, they got it. Woo! Duval with the hottest, Chris and Dev like the master, and mix it up like it's Logic being modest. They been looking for that real, trying to get it feel. Sports podcast, they run it back on the real. That's a steal, yeah. They never sick, but they ill. Real sports talk going, deliver signed and sealed. We bring that real talk when it comes to sports, covering the news, giving you the truth. Nothing but that real on hoops in the league. All things NFL, we don't miss a thing.
Are back on Real Talk. We had a little time off, had to get some stuff done as a family man myself, but glad to be back with the fellas, Chris and Kenny. Coach, how you feeling?
I'm good, man. And before we start the show, I got to give a special shout out. Happy heavenly birthday to my first wife, April. She would have been 46 today, so happy birthday to her. I don't do it often, but I should do it more. But we got a book out, Struggle to Get to Destiny, that's out. So if you could purchase that book, we're creating scholarship in her name for HBCU. So please purchase the book. All the proceeds go to that scholarship fund, or you can contribute directly via PayPal. So just inbox me if you're interested in donating. Appreciate it.
Absolutely appreciate that. Sharing that. Chris, how you feeling, sir?
Oh, man, I'm doing amazing. Life is good. FanDuel is good. You know, I can't complain. Well, it's not good right now, but it's good this weekend, I would say. As I'll see, I put the WNBA. It's fine. I'm getting back in the WNBA. FanDuel, sadly, is helping me get back into it. But, man, there's some good basketball going on. Your Mystics, even our Deladon, they got some good players that I'm a fan of that won me some money this weekend. So, big shout-out to them. But
are you really a fan of them, or is it?
No, I'm a fan. No, I'm really a fan. I'm really a fan. Like tomorrow, there's 5 games. I want to watch every single game tomorrow. I got the jailbroken Fire Stick, so I can flip, from game to game. But I do want to get back into women's basketball because I feel like they don't get the respect they deserve. And so, if I can help viewership, then I'm going to help viewership
for sure.
Love to hear it. Love to see the support. I told you what the Mystics do. We get dubs, so glad you could ride the wave.
There you
go. Glad that we could contribute to your financial freedom. That's all we can do. So let's get to it, fellas. We got some stuff to get into. We love to embrace debate here, but I think we are all in agreement with the first topic. The Commanders have been sold to the highest bidder, Josh Harris and his group, along with Magic Johnson and some other people. They have finalized the deal and new ownership is here. I'll start with a general reaction as you guys are all fans of other teams in the division. What was your thought when you saw or heard the news? I'll start with you, Chris.
It was about time. Simple. About time to get some new ownership in there, and I'm glad there's new ownership in there. I haven't really seen fans complain, which is amazing when the new ownership group comes in. See a lot of fans happy. I'm seeing, positive, comments being said, not only by the ownership, but by the fans. So that's always good when you're bringing a new ownership to a team that has a historical, significance in the NFL. So, when the massive moves happen like this, you always want to see positive reactions. And so far, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, I saw nothing but positive reactions.
Mm-hmm.
Coach?
Yeah, it's always a good thing when you can kind of, because at some point you have to, cut your losses and for lack of a better term, or just, they say a dead fish rots from the head, or bad fish rots from head, whatever the terminology is. But it just got to the point where Daniel Snyder was bad for business.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just time, it was time for him to go. So I'm just glad that we got new ownership in, and as well we got some minority ownership. It's always great to see when we got minority ownership as a part of the ownership group. So that's a great thing. And of course, how I feel about Magic Johnson. So I'm for that. But like, I don't know if you guys saw the interview he did on, I think it was on Good Morning America. I think it was Good Morning America. But anyway, like, he got real emotional, like talking about talking about that this was a dream of his, how much he loved the NFL and the fact that he's able to own it, be a part owner of an NFL team. Like, he got really choked up about it. So I'm just really happy for Magic. I'm happy for you, Ray, because I know, it's been years that all you DC guys, all you DC fans have been wanting Snyder to be out. And on a lighter note, I kind of hope that Jerry Jones is the next one to follow him.
That was oof. I wasn't expecting that one.
Yeah, I've had enough of him, and not in a toxic way per se. I just think more so because he just refuses to get out of the way. He just has to be the face of the franchise, and like, at some point, when do you step aside and let you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, at some point, it's time for you to take a back seat and let others, shine, and let other people be the face of the franchise. You've done it for 30-something years, or however long it's been, 40-something years, because I think he bought the team in the 80s. It's coming up on 40 years, I want to say, because I think he bought it in 89, if I remember right.
The late 80s, I
think it was 89. 89 or 90, one of them two. So yeah, I just think it's time for him to kind of, fade into the background, and even let his son kind of take a bigger role, and not only that, like, fire yourself as the GM. Like, it's been long enough. Like, it's time for you to give up that job. Like, we all know that you're not doing the job. It's everybody else that's doing the job for you. So why do you still have to, keep that or have that role? So, but that's another subject for another day. But I said all that to say I'm glad for Washington. I'm glad for the DC area, because DC is a great area, and I'm happy to see them have some new ownership in there. And I like what I'm hearing already in terms of them talking about bringing the Dome Stadium and things of that nature. Look like they're trying to make some things happy. So I'm happy about it.
That was well said by each of you gentlemen. I echo a lot of the sentiments. I will say this. I am glad that Daniel Snyder is gone. It's been a long time coming. It's been overdue. I want to see Ron Rivera be next.
We know that.
You've been on that for a while.
So hopefully this new ownership comes in. They're talking about team name change. I fully support that. They've talked about some of the things they want to do to the current stadium, what they're looking to do as far as I did hear about building a dome. And I think it was a good time. I think it's a good time to be in an ownership group of this franchise. I think this franchise we'll get to later in the show. Is a house with good bones, as they say. It's just in a competitive division. So we'll see what comes of it. But as Ice Cube said, today is a good day. Jay, what's going on, sir?
What up, Jay?
What's going on, y'all? How y'all living?
Amazing.
Nice. Man,
how you feel about it?
We've been talked about this for a while. I definitely feel the same way. Yeah, it's been long overdue, for
Jay,
sure.
Who won the Super Bowl first, Arizona or Washington?
Oh, here we go.
No, I got another question
that
after
was a
that.
switch.
Because I'll let you answer that one first.
I mean, is that a real question?
Wow.
Both of us have unproven quarterbacks.
Oh wow.
I mean,
that's a
yeah,
shot.
but you taking a complete start over.
Maybe you should start over.
Listen now, hold on. Yeah, man, I don't know about that. I don't know. I think you're reaching for that one because we don't have ownership problems like that.
Well, hold on.
We don't
that
either.
actually leads me to my question. Like Jay, I said before you came on, I'm not sure if you heard, but I said I'm ready for Jerry Jones to be the next one to step aside as an owner. How do you feel about your guy, Bidwell? Are you ready for him to get out of to move aside or step aside?
So, okay, so that's why I was saying that.
All right, now
You digging?
That's
why I was saying.
don't start shuffling. Don't start backpedaling. Don't start tiptoeing. This is real
Bidwell
talk.
is not on any near close to the level as Dan Snyder, close to the level as.
But I'm talking about the dysfunction and the ineptitude.
So I'm going to tell you straight, quite honest. I believe a lot of our dysfunction over the last 10 years was Steve Keim. I've talked about it many times. I think that even after Steve Keim has left Arizona, you've seen some of the interviews and some of the verbiage that he's used while he is being interviewed as far as, oh, well, what do you think about Kyler Murray saying, hey, you try, you adapt, you do as much as you can, you be coachable, but if stuff is not working, you look in the mirror. Well, his dig on that was, well, I think for a 54 million or whatever he said, guy, that's a cop out. I don't think so. And I think that if you look at Steve Keim, he got rid of Michael Floyd within days of his DUI. Steve Keim has had 2 DUIs since he's been employed with Arizona. Then you see Steve Keim has gotten rid of anybody that's gotten in trouble with the law before they were convicted. Steve Keim, if people don't remember, was accused of rape and accused of sexual assault in Mexico during that weekend. And the messed up part about that particular situation was we fired one of the best offensive lineman coaches in the game because the person mistaken that guy for Steve Keim. And we fired him the same day that they accused him. And then the next day they said, actually, I apologize. I didn't get to see Keim in the lineup, but that's who the person was. It wasn't that guy. So there's a lot of things that I believe was pushed by Steve Keim. And I think that Mike Bidwell, to the point of what you were saying, Kenny, on going back to Dallas and talking about I don't know why I can't think of his freaking name right now.
Jerry Jones.
Jerry, yeah, going to Dallas and talking about Jerry, we had what I seen as the complete opposite. Jerry said, I'm going to be in every piece of the business when it comes to player personnel decisions, this decision, that decision, and this decision. Mike Bidwell said, I'm going to take the approach of talk to the fans. I'm going to be in the public eye, but I'm not touching the players. And I think that we've seen a complete, utter opposite and dysfunction in both. So I don't think that Bidwell is in the same category as those guys.
So if I'm understanding you right, you believe that Keim is the problem, not Bidwell.
1000%.
Okay.
You can't have a leader asking you to do this and shipping people out and running a tight ship, and this dude's getting pulled over for DUIs. This dude's getting accused of sexual harassment. This dude is making some of the dumbest moves in the draft I've ever seen from a general manager, and him keep his job. Like some of the dumbest moves. So I think it's Keim. How many quarterbacks did Steve Keim draft in the top 15?
Yeah.
I mean,
this is third one, right?
Yeah, we've had 2 in the top 3. How do you get 2 and back to back?
Yeah.
What are they? That's Cleveland Browns type drafting.
That's wild.
It's taking me back to Tim Couch and you know what I'm saying, like stuff like that. Like what? So I think that honestly, majority of it was Steve Keim. But to bring it up to Washington, I think this is bigger than just for your guys' franchise. I'm just as happy. I mean, not just as happy, but I'm just as happy as well to see him gone. Like with the stuff that came out with John Gruden and them putting a shield of protection over Dan Snyder during that investigation. Then the whole sex trafficking, the way that popped up and found itself to oblivion as well. There's so many different things that I think Dan Snyder's used his power, his money, and his role in the organization and beyond it in the NFL as a whole to skate around stuff. And then it's kind of odd to me that you sell the team and within 24 hours the NFL finds you 60 million for your part in the situation. That's another rug pullover. So I'm glad Dan Snyder's gone for a lot of reasons, besides just football, for integrity of the sport, integrity of the organizations that we deal with. And, I don't want to support anybody that's out there sex trafficking these people around and doing all that. So I'm glad Dan Snyder got out of here.
Yeah. The end of an era. There was some ups, a lot of downs, a lot of disappointment, a lot of down sales, down attendance.
They never made the Super Bowl under his ownership, right?
No, sir.
Okay, I didn't think so.
Nuh-uh. Them is not the same Redskins. I mean, them is not the same Commanders.
So, it happens. It does happen, but those days are over. And so the league is on notice.
Oh, okay. See,
so it's bittersweet.
You give a guy Anthony takes him on Washington. Now the league's on notice.
Now you're going too far.
Hey, y'all feel like a whole bunch of Geminis in Washington right now, huh? Y'all don't know whether to be mad or happy at your sports franchises. Okay, got one just deleting everything.
Back away. That's all I'm saying.
Only a quarterback away.
A quarterback away. Watch out.
That's so easy.
Yeah. Hey,
well, I mean, if you
Kenny,
tank,
you say Magic want to pass.
I mean, if you guys tank, though, you know what, though? Keeping it real, like the NFL is the easiest way. They probably got the easiest path to being able to become a contender because you could literally tank your way to a number one pick.
Easily.
You definitely can.
Josh Harris did not come here to tank. He came here to win.
Man, not for nothing. That dude
you heard what Magic asked him.
That dude from USC looks pretty good. The Heisman Trophy winner, I can't think his name off the top of my head.
You talking about
Caleb Williams?
Caleb Williams.
Or Caleb Williams, the truth.
Yeah, he looked good.
But let's be honest, Kenny. Let's be honest. Let's be
the truth. Don't do that, right?
Are we really going say
from the area? That's a let's talk about tanking. Whoa, that's a perfect story.
It is a story.
He tanks for Washington. He goes back to play for his area.
Oh, he from the area too?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, definitely.
But I don't want y'all to tank because y'all too good to tank. But I'm just saying.
Number one, you too good to tank. Number two, yeah, they about to tank.
They're not going to be as bad as the Cardinals.
What up, there?
No offense, Jack. No offense, Jack. No offense. Really, it's no offense, but they're not going to be as bad as the Cardinals.
So
as the Colts.
I know this ain't no Cardinals subject. I know this ain't no Cardinals subject. But that does bring me, since we're talking about tanking in quote unquote the lower half of the league at the moment. If Kyler Murray, have you guys heard the rumors?
No, of course not.
Possibly ready between week 1 and 3. If Kyler Murray's ready, do you guys play him?
No.
Do you really think he's gonna rush back to be ready for week
even if he's ready? I want him 150%, not 100, because the way he plays the game, and he can't be
Yeah, he's got to be able to be mobile.
If he's not mobile, if he's mobile, then he's not 150%. I need him to be at the best of his best. So there's no point in rushing him back if he's not at the elite level that he needs to be at. If he's, I feel like I could still be good, then no, it's no point in bringing him back. Y'all not going. No offense. Again, no offense. The way the roster is constructed, y'all not built to be a Super Bowl contender as of right now. Not saying you sit him for a season, but when he's ready to play, if he's ready by November, I'll play him in November.
Are we worried about that division though? I mean, outside of San Francisco, I don't think Seattle's just as strong as they were. I think last year they caught a lot of people off guard in the first half of the season. You know,
But they're legit. They're not legit Super Bowl contender legit, but they're a team in your division the way it's constructed that they're not going to be on your level. If we're being honest,
I
they're not going to
mean,
be on your level.
so look, I don't think that. First of all, I don't know. I think that if we, I mean, we're
Y'all
gonna be
clear
bad.
cut the fourth best team in the division.
We're gonna
So
be
basically,
whoa,
y'all last.
the Rams are bad, bro.
I
Even at full
would
strength.
still.
Y'all ain't,
No.
they ain't better
The
than, they ain't
Rams.
as
The
bad
Rams.
as Arizona.
You
They're
take
better
out
than
Aaron
Arizona.
Donald. You take out Aaron Donald, and you don't know who's on that defense. So I give it to you.
They lost Jalen Ramsey.
But
like,
I still think I would pick them over the Cardinals. I would.
Yeah, but if you've been successful in one business, why wouldn't you be successful in another?
If you know how to win and you know how to construct winning,
right.
you know you're going to bring in
Magic-
guys. You're going to bring in
World
guys that
Series
know football.
in LA. He won a World Series in LA.
Rams
So-
back? No, Rams not back. Ram defense are terrible. You can't win with a defense like that. And
Not
maybe
even-
maybe they're better. I just don't know the names.
Mike,
not
go
even
ahead.
that, man. Even their offense is bad.
Mike, stay off the weed.
The Bears will be better than the Cardinals.
Yes, they will. Yes, they will. I'm with you on
That
that.
is not
I'm
even
with
a
you on
hot
that.
take.
No,
That's
no,
not
no.
even a hot
No,
take.
no. Yo,
Like,
the
what are
Bears,
you talking
the
about?
Bears could win it.
They ain't
Nah, I
not
ain't
taking
gonna
no
say that.
NFC, so
The
we
Bears.
relax
Listen,
with that.
Their
Justin.
division.
Hey, we're not talking about them this week, but they can't win the division.
Yeah,
No, they
I'm
can
about
win
to
the
say,
division.
Oh no, the
Oh,
division is wide
100%.
open.
Justin
Okay.
Fields might put up 3,000
Honestly,
passing,
though,
1,000
I
rushing.
think-
Detroit, though.
I was just
I
gonna
like
say,
Detroit.
I think I haven't decided yet, but I think I'm going with Detroit as well.
I don't.
Yeah.
I like. I'm a Justin Fields guy.
Because
So
But they lost,
We already, we out on Kirk Cousins.
But the only thing
I'm
about
not out.
Detroit,
No.
they let
I heard-
what's his name go.
and Cook is gone. So
Yeah, but I heard when you watch
I'm
this
out.
quarterback documentary on Netflix that you're going to look at Kirk Cousins a little different. I could be wrong, but I'm
haven't
not.
watched
I'm not
it
in
yet.
on the Vikings. To
Listen,
me, it's the Lions.
Ain't no
and the Bears.
narrator gonna change the way I feel about good old Kirk Cousins. I don't care what the
I
narrator
watched him
say.
play for too many years.
Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
When it comes to the fourth quarter, we got two
I'm straight.
picks.
he'll get you to the playoffs, but you're
That's
not going to
it.
win a game.
That's it.
Hey,
It's better than some teams could say though.
What do you mean? They've been to the
Tuche,
playoffs.
what
since
did
then.
Tuche
you talking
say?
about, Damien?
what did Tuche say? I got two
They just be
folds.
hating hard.
When it comes to Kirk
Yeah,
Cousins, they be like, I got two picks in the fourth quarter. That's what it is.
But look at the division though. I think it's between.
Yeah, that division's wide open.
I think it's between the Bears and the Lions. I'm not a fan of the Packers.
Woo!
Nah,
John
get outta
coming
here
in
with
hot.
that.
What do you
Get outta
say?
here with that.
Coming in hot.
Get outta
Oh,
here.
wait.
I'll
He
take
might
Dak
be on to
over-
something.
I'd
No,
take Dak
he's
over Kirk
actually,
Cousins
bro.
any day.
He might
He's
be on
very
something.
on to something.
No
What's the
way.
difference?
Be on
What's
something.
the
No
difference is,
way.
Kenny? I'm gonna leave this in your court.
No
Kenny, I'm gonna
way.
leave this in your court. What are the
Dak has
differences
actually won a
between
playoff
Dak and
game.
Kirk?
Dak has actually won a playoff game. That's the difference.
So that's your only difference?
Yeah, and I would take him over. I would take him over Kirk Cousins any day.
We didn't
Of
ask that
course you're
question.
gonna say that.
He's a
Yeah,
winner.
we didn't ask that
He's
question.
been a
though.
winner.
What has he won?
He's been a winner throughout his career. He just hasn't had no deep playoff run. And he's
I'm
won
gonna ask
playoff
the-
games.
I'm gonna
I
ask the
can't say
Philly
the
guy
same thing about
next.
Kirk Cousins.
I'm gonna
Kirk
go
Cousins
around.
has
I'm
put
gonna
up
go
great
around the
regular
NFC
season
East.
numbers too.
Has he won a playoff game?
Yeah, I think Kirk won a playoff game.
Maybe one.
I think
He
he
might
has
got
more
one.
than.
Same record.
I think he has more than Dak.
No, I think Dak got two.
Let me see.
Playoff
Dak got
wins.
two.
Kirk Cousins 1-4 in the playoffs.
Dak
Dak-
2-3 or 2-4, something like that.
Dak
He's only been to
Prescott.
the playoffs 4 years, 4 times.
He's been in the league 5 years. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Kirk has won 1 out of 5 games, and Dak.
It's
No,
2 or
7.
4.
Yeah, 2
Dak is
4.
like 2 or 4.
But Dak been in the league 7 years. My bad.
Yeah, Dak is
Dak
2
been
or
in the
4.
league
7.
for a minute, man.
6 or
You know.
7.
Dak is 2 and 4, bro.
But
Look,
my point is that I'm still just off GP. I'm taking Dak, and that's not me being a homer.
You put Kirk Cousins in that old Cowboys offense.
Nope.
What you think he doing?
Nope.
I think he
which
puts
one?
up
You
the
talking
same
about the
numbers.
90s offense?
No, I'm talking about the one that
offense
Dak
right now,
started with.
I think he puts up similar numbers.
No.
I think they're very similar. We saw what he did with a number one in Dalvin Cook.
That's my point. Like
he put up numbers.
All of the weapons that he's had as many, if not more, weapons than Dak.
And he put up good numbers.
Similar, but I'm saying they only got one playoff win to show for it.
Dak only got 2.
But I'm just saying, like, he been in the league longer too, Kirk Cousins.
Barely.
Okay.
What he got about a year?
No. I think it's a few years.
I think Kirk Cousins been in the league over.
Kirk
10
Cousins
years.
has been in the league, for a little.
No, RG3 draft was that long ago?
Not 10. Yeah. RG3 draft was 2012, bro.
Kirk Cousins played in Washington for about 8 years.
yeah. Come on now, right?
Nah, it was like 6 years.
I know,
but I'm saying, that draft was 2012. We're in 2023.
2012. Yeah,
I didn't think it was that long ago.
Yeah,
that was a long time ago.
It was a lot of pain. Look, I know you try to forget all that pain.
Before we move on,
RG3 was decent with us.
His rookie year. Whoa.
RG3 was nasty.
Whoa.
So Kirk's rookie year was decent too.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
He didn't play.
Or his sophomore year, then whatever his rookie year was, he did pretty good that year too.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Rodgers got to sit for 3 years. He came in all right too.
Kirk Cousins isn't the worst quarterback, but I'm not mad at Justin Jefferson for not putting him in his top 5.
How could
Justin Jefferson?
You just gonna lie on camera?
Hey yo, you gotta lie.
Come on, you don't.
No, well, honestly,
how you gonna go in the locker room?
Yeah.
How you gonna look that man in the locker room in the face?
I'm not mad at him as far as my point.
We watched the same film and he watching.
But
I'm gonna ask him a simple question, Kenny.
That says something.
Crazy.
Because you saw how Travis Kelce stood up for Mahomes.
Don't do that. That is not the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing. But you see, I see AJ Brown sticking up for Jalen Hurts. I see receivers sticking up for their quarterbacks. And I'm not saying he's not sticking up for him.
Patrick Mahomes, and then we're talking about Kirk Cousins.
But still, how would you feel if you're in the locker room and your boy that y'all put up this crazy year last year, y'all too, and he names 5 people, and you're not you're not one of them 5 people.
I'm gonna go to him just like this. I'm gonna say, "Hey,
I'm not top 5, but the number
you gonna feel the type of way, right or wrong?
How you gonna be mad at something that's the truth,
man?
But hold on, hear me out. How are you gonna say I'm not a top 5 quarterback when you're putting up the probably did he have the best numbers in the league last year? He did.
I'm not going to say that Kirk Cousins is the reason though. So let me just.
But I'm just saying the fact of the matter is that
I'm giving you the ball, so you should give me some type of love.
That's part of the reason. That's my point. Is that I'm the guy that's getting you the ball, is helping you put up these numbers. And
don't throw me the ball and see what happens to your career.
No. I'll say this. His number's been good before Justin Jefferson. But I will say this though. I will say
this. Without him.
I will say this.
My point is, if I'm Kirk Cousins, I'm looking at you crazy. If you're putting up these kind of numbers and I'm the guy that's pulling the trigger and you're not gonna put me in your top 5,
Kenny,
I'm looking at you crazy.
How would you feel? Right or wrong? This is the best political answer he could have said. Not including my quarterback.
Right.
These are my top 5. He's not lying. Yeah, but
that would have been politically correct.
That would have been politically correct.
That would have been easier to
I wouldn't have respected it as much.
Why not?
He is saying the same thing.
But we all know.
I'm not looking at you crazy though. If you say
you saw what Tyreek Hill did with Tua before the season started last year. Tyreek Hill was hyping Tua up.
Digging him up.
Come on,
because he had never played with him.
He never played with him. Yeah,
look at the numbers they put up. Look at the numbers. All I'm going to say is,
even worse.
I'm not saying Kirk Cousins is top 5, but I'm just thinking about if I was Kirk Cousins, I would feel that type of way. I don't care if it's the truth or not. You're my boy. You don't know these guys. They're not your teammates.
That's right.
You're not going in week in and week out. That's what I'm saying.
That's right. Putting in all of that work and then
hey, bro, listen.
Y'all are soft.
Nobody's saying. I'm saying I'm looking at him crazy.
You wouldn't say nothing if you're Kirk Cousins. You would just let it rock.
You're not gonna feel the type of way.
I have a brain. I have eyes.
You letting it rock is soft, in my opinion.
Wait, hold on. It's just like when you go to the basketball court and you usually run with your 5 and one of the dudes is rolling late and you gonna tell the dude before you get on the court, hey man, when old boy get here, my boy get here, we'll let you run for this game, but my boy here get here, we're gonna have to switch it up. That's how I feel. Whoa, Damian playing. But that's how I feel about this situation. Like, yeah, I mess with Kirk. He's doing his thing, but there's 5 better quarterbacks out there. You ask me a
There's
real
12
question.
better quarterbacks.
There's 12. So why am I getting heat about 5?
Nah, but you telling me?
I'm just saying for the locker room, it's a little weird. It's weird. It's a little weird.
In other words, you're telling me that seeing that you would walk in the locker room and dap him up like it was nothing.
No. See, now you're talking about the emotions of the other guy.
Yeah.
I don't know about that part. Like, yeah, he gonna take it how he take it. Is he gonna get better this next year, or is he gonna be one to pack his bags?
You're just gonna dap him up and not have nothing to say about it,
bro. You might be on your way out.
I'm gonna say
I
something.
ain't up here worried about you and your ego. The reason you about to be on your way out and they ain't gave you no new contract is because you ain't top 5.
Now let me ask you this: in Justin Jefferson's perspective. I just performed better than most receivers ever in their career. Okay,
more MVPs than Kirk Cousins could ever even sniff.
Hey, that's funny.
That conversation.
So, but look, from his perspective, I want a better quarterback. Can you imagine what I could do with a better quarterback?
But how are you going to get a better? Who's coming to Minnesota?
And who's coming to Minnesota? Somebody that wants to play with a dog.
Or does he leave Minnesota?
How much better am I gonna be if I'm putting up these type of numbers with Kirk Cousins? Like
it's nothing more he can do. He's not the reason why. Like they just need to get better as a team. There's nothing more he can really do. If I'm being honest.
So Tom Brady ain't coming in there and changing nothing for Justin Jefferson.
He might change the win and loss. They might change the win and loss column, but as far as his statistical numbers, I don't see a big difference that's going to happen. He put up great numbers already.
Crazy.
I'm gonna say you put up good numbers again, but I'm not worried about it. Like, am I wrong? Did he not put up some of the best numbers last year?
Yeah,
that's why.
If we're talking emotions, I can still see him want a better quarterback. I can still see it in his head, like, hey, I just put up all these record-breaking numbers. I can still see myself with a better quarterback.
I do. I just feel as though, my point was, if I'm Kirk in the locker room, damn, bro,
what up?
We did last year. That's all. That's really all. That's all I'm going to with. Damn, but just remember the damn, bro.
That's how you feel?
That's how you feel?
That's what I'm saying. Yo, that's how you feel after all of that we've accomplished together? That's how you really feel?
Because he could name his top 5 wide receivers in the game and not add Justin Jefferson.
And if he did that, he looked like an idiot.
But how was that solved?
Justin Jefferson was just rated a 99 in Madden.
I don't care. Madden ratings suck. Madden ratings suck because
you asking a guy not to have no emotions. Like he gonna feel the type.
I'm asking him to step up to the plate.
So you saying it's soft for speaking up for yourself?
Yeah, come on.
Yes, because he's an idiot. Nobody believes Kirk Cousins top 5 at anything in relation to quarterbacks.
That's not the issue.
Loyalty.
It's the fact that
that's not loyalty. It's delusion.
That's
all he had to say was not including my quarterback. And
he's been in some cave with Aaron Rodgers taking drugs if he comes out and says
Ray better play tennis or golf.
That's what I'm saying. Ray don't have no loyalty, man.
He doesn't.
I
don't have loyalty.
Because you be like, get him out of here.
Ray going out there with his own bag. He gonna be his own caddy.
As soon as Ray is done with a guy, it's get him out of there.
It's get him out of there.
No patience. None whatsoever.
It ain't personal.
No loyalty.
It's business, huh?
Get him out of there.
When the time is up, the time is up. I'm the one that advocated for giving Bradley Beal a no trade. What are you talking about?
I still don't.
That's the one guy. The one. Everybody else can go.
We saw how that went.
He damn sure did.
No.
He was like, get rid of Clay. He was like, get rid of Clay.
He did say get rid of Draymond.
He was like, get rid of Draymond. He was like, get rid of him. He said, keep everybody but Steph.
Help me out.
Hey,
when it's time to go, it's time to go.
You know what I love though? I love the fact that I'm gonna have to hear you talk about the cone and he ain't on my team no more. I want to hear all the cone talk too this year. Don't let off the pedal.
Who's the cone?
You done already forgot? All this year you didn't talk about the cone. He get traded and he ain't even played one game. You didn't forgot who that is now?
We about to talk about him real soon.
Jay, he been talking reckless, boy. You hear me? He called Chris Steph's son.
He is.
He did.
Listen, man.
And we about to kick him out the house. He keep talking crazy.
You delusional, man. That's man. What's next?
So we talked about trash talkers. Chris Paul just said something the other day that I don't know what he's doing. Cam Newton. Everybody seen the Cam Newton video? He goes over to the white kid and embarrasses him and sets the record straight.
It was funny.
I just seen that.
So my question for the distinguished panel is: did Cam do too much, or is this good for sports, entertainer, fan interaction? Kenny, I'll start with you since you're a coach.
Yeah, shoot. Keep that same energy. You want to come at me, I'm gonna come at you. And I mean, that's the easiest way to really, shut a fan down. Because he was talking disrespectful to Cam. He was talking real slick, talking about me and you got the same amount of rings. So, like, he asked for the smoke, so he gave him the smoke. So you can't just start shooting, and then when he shoot back, then you got to take it the same way you give it out. So I was good with it. I don't have no problem with it.
And Damian, he has one MVP. That's enough.
Right.
That's enough to set him apart from Kirk Cousins.
And Damian, that's I'll interject because this was going to be my point. I feel like I get on here and I talk crazy. Sometimes I do.
Majority of the time.
No, no way.
But here's the thing. I do recognize that when you start talking about MVPs, it's different. And so when people look or talk to someone like Cam, like there's just a certain level that you can have that ring conversation, but there's no way on God's green. There's more people with rings than MVPs.
For sure.
And that to me gets overlooked in his story is what he did for the state of North Carolina in that run. And if people remember what he did at Auburn, like
arguably the greatest college quarterback of all time for what he did at Auburn.
Like that to me is where people lose me a lot. And I get the parrots and the internet trolls and stuff, but people really need to go back with him specifically because that kid, let's be honest, for as great as Drew Brees was, how many rings did he give the city of New Orleans?
One.
Like one is great, but when you're supposed to be one of them,
Look at Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers only gave Green Bay one.
Like,
look how many MVPs he has.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. You don't look. Society is a TikTok universe right now. We got 30 seconds of satisfaction, and we moving on to the next thing. And that's the way society has been progressing for a long time. Let's not forget that when Cam Newton was in the game, Cam Newton was the hottest thing ticking.
Absolutely.
Let's not forget that. And just like just like the same thing they did to Michael Vick. When Michael Vick was in the game, Michael Vick was the hottest thing ticking.
Absolutely.
And what I think the biggest portion of what we're seeing with guys like Cam, guys like Mike, guys, even Pat Mahomes gets a little bit of flack. Even it's hard to give him the same amount of flack right now because he's so great, but he was coming in, running and doing his thing, and now he's kind of been able to sit back a little bit more, stay in the pocket and be more of a pocket passer, and they kind of cap on Pat a little bit here and there. So to me, when you come in the game and you bring so much to the table at one time, so overwhelming, you take over just the eyes of the kids, the players even, that once you drop a little bit because of the way we're built as a society, they're automatically talking shit
out, Mike.
That same kid was probably dabbing when Cam was scoring touchdowns.
Hello.
Thank you. And that's the other thing, man. Like, to me, everybody is entitled to
I don't know about that one, Mike.
Nobody's taking more heat than Justin Fields.
He's taking heat, but he's not taking
Chicago bias.
Right this moment, Justin Fields takes a lot of heat.
He does.
Correct.
From who?
He takes everybody.
But I'm saying he's not the most.
I'm not.
There's people that come out and say stuff about Fields, but I'm saying he doesn't take the most. That's why I'm not
the most.
Yeah,
Not the most. And the other thing is,
say Aaron Rodgers before I said him.
I mean, to a degree. But the other thing about Justin Fields, Tua takes a lot of heat. But the other thing about Justin Fields, or
Hell,
even
Lamar
Tua,
taking a little bit of the heat this year.
even
Yeah,
Lamar this year,
Lamar
though,
is gonna have a
none
big
of them
target
is
on his
taking as
back this
much
year.
heat as Mike, as
Deshaun.
Cam, as
Yeah, because
some of these other dudes,
it's low
man.
expectations for Fields, so he doesn't have as much
The
pressure on
same
him.
amount of pressure on him. I mean, we're talking about a dude that was literally MVP. And then next thing you know, there's domino effects of things coming off the roster, but they still want him to perform at the MVP level.
With nobody
So
around.
yeah, no, this is bigger than I think that he's doing, or what he did was what a lot of players should have done in the past, and it wouldn't have got to this degree. Honestly, because people be talking a lot of mess, man.
You know who Cam remind me of in the NBA? He remind me of Russell Westbrook. You know what I mean? A lot of people wants to give you slack, but you forget what Russell Westbrook brought to the game. We
Yeah.
ain't, you know what I mean? We understand, like, if Russell Westbrook would have won a championship, we'll probably have him in a different conversation a little bit.
Yeah, same thing with Cam.
So and I think Cam also fit in that type of conversation. And then these fans wants to attack these guys because of their bright personality, you know, or their big personality. But then you want to catch heat. You want to catch Cam said at the end of that video. Don't play victim now when I say something to you, because it was all chitter chat when I was 50 yards away and I don't have no rings and I'm terrible quarterback and I shouldn't be in the league. You know what I mean? Just like how they was chatting about Russell Westbrook. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that some of these fans just need to pipe down, man. You got to respect what Cam did for the game. Cam wasn't just like no slouch that got picked up in round one and became a bust. Cam played up to his ability to what the Carolina Panthers gave him.
See, and that's one of the things too, Dev, that I'm glad you brought up, because it seems like the bigger the spotlight, the harder they hate. So like Westbrook was one of the biggest in the game, and I don't give a dang about rings and all that stuff. Westbrook, when he touched the floor, the lights were on. They wanted him on prime time. Kids were watching. Everybody was watching. It was Westbrook and at the time it was Westbrook and Durant. James Harden was still coming into his own back then. So then you see the rise with Westbrook doing his own team in OKC. Then when he went to Houston, so Westbrook had hit heights, man. Same thing with Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson hit so many big heights. And then you got the league messing with him about his clothing. You got the league messing with him about his braids, his tattoos. Then you look at West, same thing. The league was messing with him about the way he was doing things and the way he was responding to reporters. And you know, so the bigger you are, the bigger light you have shining on you, the more and the harder they're gonna hate. And when they hate, and it's crazy to me, man.
Yeah, I just think that the fans you just gotta be careful of what you say. You gotta think about what you're saying, because when you're talking to these people, you're talking to guys, pros. These guys are playing at the highest level of the sport. They're doing something that you could never do. So anytime that you're trying to talk to them, you need to keep that in mind. Like, you'll never reach the level that they've reached. So anytime you're trying to talk reckless or talk disrespectful, you need to think about that, because these guys are high level. They're the best of the best in terms of their athletes. And most of the guys, like, in your sport or whatever sport you play, whether it's a guy that's a starter or a guy that's the last guy on the bench, I can guarantee you he will whoop you with like there's no tomorrow if y'all was ever to face head up in any sport. So you just got to think about that when you're saying certain things.
Look at Jimmy Fredette. He turned into a god in China.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the worst guy at the end of the bench will put 40 on you without even thinking about it.
From one spot.
That's what I'm saying. So you gotta be respectful.
Won't even break the sweat.
Won't even break a sweat.
Get straight to the sweet spot.
Before we get off this, I want to ask everybody's opinion. in Cam Newton's career, did he below, meet, or exceed expectations?
Exceed. No one expected him to do like Chris said. It
He was
started at
drafted
Auburn.
number one.
Number one, there was an
I think he met expectations.
Yeah, I don't know about.
Yeah, I
would say
think he
definitely
met it.
He won an MVP.
But that's what I thought he would be though. That's not we knew coming out of
But-
Auburn. If you didn't think Cam was
Honestly,
going to be
though,
the real deal winning MVPs, you're
about-
crazy.
But you
I
think
thought he
about
met
that,
expectations. He didn't
though,
exceed
it
anything.
might be exceed because if you think about it, he won an MVP, made the Super Bowl. So number one pick to me, that's meeting and exceeding to a degree.
Isn't
Thank
that what
you,
we
Vic.
expect?
How many
how
many playoff games he won though?
It don't matter,
I'm
man.
going
Listen,
but I'm
how
saying-
many number one pick quarterbacks do you know of off the top of your head that have won the MVP?
I mean, I can't remember number one pick quarterbacks to begin with, so I can't answer the question.
I mean, I can remember some ones off the top of my head. And none of
But
them
as much
scraped
as you remember the bust, there's also been great quarterbacks at number one that will say met expectations. So it's like, to me, if he exceeded expectations, that'd have been him winning multiple MVPs and multiple Super Bowls, winning the MVP and taking the team to the Super Bowl. That's what I expected from what I got coming out of Auburn.
Or somebody like that. It was a long drought.
Like coming out of Auburn, I expected him to be the real deal. Everything I saw, yes, it was great, and I'm not saying like I'm not downplaying it, but when I saw it, I'm like, man, I knew he could do this. It wasn't like, man, I had no idea this was him. I knew he could do this. I knew he could lead a team. I knew he could become great. I knew I knew all those things. Andrew Luck didn't win MVP, but let me ask you this: who y'all think was a better quarterback, Andrew Luck or Cam Newton?
Cam. I'm gonna say Cam.
I think I'm gonna ride with. I think I'm gonna have to slap with Cam.
Stradamus, talk to me.
So
Stradamus, talk to me.
I'm going to take a quick left, and then I'll bring it back real fast. This question reminds me of the Magic Curry conversation because as a quarterback, I think Andrew Luck was a better quarterback. But as a quarterback, I think Cam Newton was a better quarterback.
That makes total sense.
Say that one more time.
I don't even understand what that means.
Yeah,
that makes total sense.
As they drop
sense.
back quarterback, the traditional quarterback,
Andrew Luck was better.
Andrew Luck was better.
Okay.
But
as an all-around quarterback, all a player.
Got you.
I mean, Ray, you couldn't have broke it down like Dev just broke it down.
I thought I was dealing with people that could keep up, and I was disappointed.
I'm checking.
I guess I was the only one, Ray.
Right now.
I got you, Ray.
Hey, I was there too.
Jay and Dev, thank y'all.
I'm looking at MLB scores right now. Let me rock.
I was looking up the number one pick to win the NFL to win the Super Bowl, so I didn't hear what you said. That's why I actually said it again.
Okay. But no, I'm taking Cam, but that also does factor Andrew Luck quit pretty early. If he would have stayed around, maybe
if they had given him offensive line, earlier. Ooh.
Like
So there's been 20.
All right,
so
you ready?
look,
Yeah, I can. I'm ready.
There's been 20 quarterbacks.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. So in our generation, you got John Elway, Troy Aikman, and Peyton Manning.
No,
so we're not counting.
Okay, but I'm saying so. These are the
Eli
20.
Manning, Matthew Stafford.
He wasn't number. Was Eli?
He wasn't
Yes,
number one.
these are the number one.
Eli
picks.
was one.
Eli and Matthew.
But he didn't
So
win
look.
MVP.
Oh yeah, Stafford. That's right.
So
Eli.
look, here's the
Talking
number
about
one
Super Bowls.
picks. Here's the number one picks. We got Terry Bradshaw,
No,
Peyton Manning,
Eli was
John
not.
Elway.
Oh wait, Eli. Yeah.
Yep,
Eli
Troy
was first.
Aikman,
Yeah.
Andrew Luck, Eli Manning, Jim Plunkett, Matthew Stafford, Drew Bledsoe, Michael Vick, Cam
We're
Newton,
not counting
Vinny
Trevor.
Testaverde, Carson Palmer, Alex Smith, Jeff George, Stan Bradford, David Carr, Tim Couch, Jamarcus Russell, and Steve Bartkowski.
Those are all of the number ones, or did you just talk
Yes,
about?
number
Okay.
one overalls.
Got it.
I mean, with that list, bro, listen, yes, we had some legends on the list. So are you going to be Hall of Fame legendary?
So what's the total amount of number one picks?
21.
21 and 18 won them? Out of 21.
18 won what?
So out of 21
I'm
number
confused
one
in the whole
picks,
list.
how many won the actual Super Bowl?
Not 18.
Oh,
Michael
okay.
didn't. Drew Bledsoe didn't. Vinny
Oh, got it.
Testaverde
Bledsoe won a
didn't.
Super Bowl.
No, I'm
He's not
sorry.
as a
We
starting
got
quarterback.
Terry Bradshaw. No, here it is. Terry Bradshaw, Jim Plunkett, John Elway. So it's 1, 2, 3,
Troy Aikman.
4. I'm not counting Bledsoe. So we
Okay,
got
Troy Aikman.
Bradshaw, Plunkett, Elway, Aikman,
Manning.
Eli Manning, Matthew
brothers,
Stafford. Matthew Stafford.
and Matthew Stafford.
Hold on. There's
How many is
somebody
that?
else.
And are we
5.
taking Cam over any of those guys?
And we're
Career
not counting David Carr either because he was back then.
So are you
I'm not
saying
taking Cam over Peyton Manning.
I'm not taking Cam over the top 5 we just named? I'm not taking Cam over John Elway. I'm not taking Cam over. I won't take Cam over Troy
Taking him
Aikman.
over Plunkett.
You said you are?
I'm taking him over Plunkett.
All right, real
I
quick.
mean,
all right, let me
that don't
ask y'all
even
this.
count.
Let me ask y'all this. Not the
I
not
think
the
I might even take him over Stafford, to be honest with you.
not
Yeah.
the age y'all, not the age y'all, but I gotta ask y'all this. Looking at the quarterbacks we see now, you know, since he's retired, like where does Troy Aikman rank? Because look, I see the stats. I saw film.
No,
but if
that's
I just look at
but
stats.
you know what? Stats is not. He's not going to.
I'm asking. I'm not jumping to my millennial conclusion.
He's
I'm
not.
being a
His numbers are not going to. His numbers are not going to compare to those guys because we ran the ball a lot more during that time. Because you got to remember, you had Emmett.
You know, I'm already know. Listen, I understand the whole concept. Emmett, I understand everything how the offense was. I'm just saying, taking everything into consideration as talent, and you looking at these quarterbacks, and I'm going to factor in the Super Bowls because he won them, and we're going to also factor in the stats. When you look at these quarterbacks now, where it is like right now off the top of your head, is Troy Aikman the top 10 quarterback of all time?
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think he's probably.
Somebody say yes.
I'm gonna say
I think
20.
yes.
Whoa,
A top 10?
Right.
Top 10?
Right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure about top 10. I think top 20.
I'm taking him.
I don't even know if he's top 20 anymore.
I'm taking him over everybody currently playing except Mahomes.
Right.
Hold on, you said Troy Aikman?
But
Over
still,
everybody currently playing except Mahomes.
Still, that's still not even top 10.
Does that count?
So
Is that?
what's
I
your
might
top
give you
10,
Russell
Chris?
Wilson.
I got it.
No way.
I don't know.
No way. Not me.
All right, let me ask you this. Right. All right.
I feel like Russell's in a similar situation.
That's what I was saying.
Look,
To me, Russell was almost a similar type as Aikman, but nowhere near.
But you're only taking Russ. You wouldn't even. Okay, I want to listen to it. What do you have?
Listen.
Wait, Kenny. Before you go, Chris, I just want to hear what the Dallas Cowboy fan has to say first. Let me get that out
top
the way.
20.
Okay, but why?
Because and this is just me thinking. I don't think he's in the top 10 because just off the top of my head,
I was gonna read y'all some names too and have y'all yes and no.
Brady, Elway, Marino,
Montana, Steve Young.
And these are all just his era still.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve Young's ahead of him. Go ahead and put it. I know you don't like to talk about the
look, your guy. Listen. Stallback.
Probably Bradshaw.
Why won't you put Steve Young on there?
Brett Favre?
He's got 2. Oh, does he have 1?
But he did way more than Troy Aikman did.
No.
Brett Favre?
Especially when they beat him in the playoffs.
Okay, Brett Favre?
No, I'm not putting him over. Yeah, I put him over. I put Favre over him. Okay, that's 7.
Okay.
Let me see. Who else? Give me some
where
names.
Did we stop at?
Listen,
let me read y'all some names.
So far.
Let me read y'all some names, and y'all just tell me an yes or no that we can move on and talk about.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, that's the way to do it.
So outside of the officials, we know the Bradys. All right. What about? Let's go old school, right? You got Johnny Unitas.
Let's not go old school because
Aaron Rodgers.
Yes. Is over him.
All right. What about Warren Moon?
Patrick Mahomes.
We're staying a little bit more current, Dev.
Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
Yeah, Mahomes is over him.
Ben Roethlisberger.
No.
Okay, I'll just take it. What about Drew Brees?
Heck no.
Okay.
Not for me.
I don't know. That hurts. Okay. Peyton Manning.
Peyton's over him.
Eli Manning.
No.
Heck no.
Okay.
Listen, I'm just asking.
What are we counting? How are we counting this now?
Because
We're just
because
saying who
listen,
we're just going.
I'm
in
looking
terms
up
of
top
who we take
quarterbacks of
over.
all time, and I'm just looking at lists. That's how I'm like trying to remember names, and I'm not making them my
Okay.
list.
Okay.
But I don't even like they got guys like I'm looking.
Michael
I don't
Vick.
just see
No.
Troy Aikman.
I'm not
All
taking.
right.
So the guy that listen, this one
What up,
list
Mike? I'm not
has him
taking Warren
15.
Moon over him either.
This one list
What?
has him 15.
No,
And they got I'm gonna tell you who's ahead of him. You got Ben Roethlisberger, they got ahead of him. Staubach.
no.
They got old school guys like Frank Turkington. I'm not gonna count him if he played
Frank
in the 70s.
Tarkenton, I'm
Yeah.
too young for that.
Marino.
You
Yeah,
already
I'm
said
taking
Marino.
We said
already said
young,
Marino.
or was young iffy?
I was no. But
Phillip
y'all
Rivers.
saying yes. No way.
No, heck no. All right, I'm done with this.
I
say he's
am. You're
top
right,
15.
Mike. I am. But I'm
I'll say
trying to
he's
keep
top
it real.
15. I know for sure he's not. No, you got him over Drew Brees though.
Yeah, I'm going on. Yeah, I got him over.
What did Drew Brees do?
No,
He got-
I'm generally asking. Because
I
So
think
wait,
Drew
so
Brees,
wait.
to me,
historically, Drew Brees
Are we talking
underperformed.
about? Are we
No,
talking
I
about
think he
performance
overachieved
as a
though.
player,
or
or
resume.
are we talking
that-
about resume?
that's how
All
to me,
inclusive.
okay.
Because
you got
Aikman's going to lose you in stats. He's not going to have.
but he's going to have the
passing
resume.
stats.
He's going to have the resume. But that's why
But-
you have to ask how you judging players, because some people say I'm judging individual performance.
Freddie.
Nothing.
Do you
including
know what it was?
team.
Can you imagine what it was like to be the leader of that locker room at that
Oh,
time?
it had to be insane. But that's why I'm not discounting.
Show
it.
made show left.
Yeah, I'm not discounting anything y'all saying. I just wanted to hear y'all point of view as y'all give
Yeah,
the answers.
I got
That's
to.
all.
I would have to see. Look
can
at the
just
list
agree
to
he's
see
not
where
top
I would
10
put
though.
him. But
We can just agree
he's
he's not
definitely
top 10
top.
though.
He's not. I would say he's not top 10, but he's definitely probably top 15. Now that I think about
And I'm
it.
not married to the top 10. I said that quickly off the top of my head, but
Yeah, I
I'm
think
good with
he's
top.
15.
But I'm definitely top 20. And like I said, outside of, and I think, forget Rodgers. But outside of Rodgers and Mahomes, I'm not taking anybody in this current crop
In this current,
over
okay.
Troy Aikman.
Okay. And
You're not taking Patrick
Or
Mahomes?
what?
I
No,
said
he said.
Mahomes
What
and
about Brett
Mahomes
Favre?
and
What about Brett
Rodgers.
Favre? I'm
so you're
asking.
not
What about
counting.
Brett Favre?
You're not counting
I'm
Brady.
not.
You count. You're not counting in.
Nah, Brady, he's retired.
Okay.
Brady, Manning, that group. I'm not a Favre
got
fan. I'm not a Rodgers fan. So
I think the new group though,
Mike, you
the
taking
current
Josh
quarterbacks.
Barrow for Troy Aikman right now?
Josh who?
he doesn't believe that about Josh Allen. I know that.
You putting Josh and Burrow over Troy Aikman right now?
We not about
this
to
is
do
what.
this.
No, wait.
No
Let
way.
me just say this.
No
Let me just say this. And this is why I asked: are we talking talent, or are we talking, resume?
And that really is a good question. But if we're talking talent, I mean, you're going to have guys that
But
have
you-
no business being in the
I was
class,
gonna
being
say,
in the class.
You got to remember Troy Aikman, in terms of a talent, his arm talent was elite.
Yeah,
Let's
so
not
we
get
might want to
twisted.
say numbers instead of talent. We might want to say numbers instead of.
But
Because,
like
I
Ray
mean-
said, Josh Aikman numbers is not going to wow you.
But I think
So
Josh
his numbers-
Allen
his no-
and Burrow are
if you
better
look
than
at
Troy
numbers,
Aikman.
if you look at
overall.
numbers, his numbers are his no. You look. That's why I asked. When you look at his numbers,
No, that's not gonna do it.
his numbers suck.
Thank
I'm just
you.
putting that out there.
Put that quote.
Where'd it
I mean,
go,
put that
Steve?
comment, please. That one. Thank
That's
you.
interesting. That's interesting.
Thank you. Because he
That's
had
interesting.
Deion Sanders, Michael Irving, Kachuk, the best line of
Emmitt
scrimmage
Smith.
ever. Emmitt Smith. I mean, dude.
The only reason I brought him up because 165 touchdowns, 141 interceptions is a little
And
He
you
had
had
the
the best guys.
all-time leading rusher.
But again, I just want to hear
That's-
your point of view. That's all. I'm
But
just
that's
bringing up
more-
conversation.
Hold on. This is why I don't put Troy up there on my list like that. Troy is a product of his environment. If
No,
No,
his
we're
best
not
year.
doing that.
So
It
is
is.
Joe
His
Montana any
best, hold
different?
on. Listen. He had the best line. He had the all-time leading rusher.
So you
He had
sitting
one of the
here
best
telling
wide
me-
receivers in the league. He had multiple of them. He had one of the best tight ends.
Let's pull
You're-
up his best
you're
year.
Well,
telling
can you say that for Steve Young then? Because he
Right.
got past
And
the-
Joe
he got-
Montana.
But
He got
Steve
the
Young,
torch.
but Steve Young got out the pocket. Steve Young did a lot more for his team to make sure they were able to perform at a high capacity than what Troy Aikman did.
And he
Period.
also
Because
did
We
Troy
disagree
Aikman took a
on
lot
that.
of
moves
concussions.
too. He came up
Because
small
Troy
in
Aikman
big
had a lot of
spots, too.
concussions also.
You never said that about Troy Aikman.
I mean, No, I'm gonna shut up.
There was questions about Steve Young's clutch because remember his whole thing was when he finally won that Super Bowl, he had them taking the monkey off his back because he had that monkey on his back for all those years that he was making those playoff runs and couldn't win the Super Bowl.
But Troy Aikman wasn't even put into the clutch position like that too often because they would run the clock out with Emmitt Smith.
All I'm gonna say is, let me get my
now
point
it's
of view.
a crutch.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
you
I'm
bringing
a
it up.
homer, Mike. I'm a homer though. Really?
All I'm gonna say is when I play
I'm a
Madden,
homer.
man,
That's
nobody
rich.
wants the Troy Aikman card. That's all. You know,
What'd you say?
when I play Madden, nobody wants to use the Troy Aikman card. That's neither here nor there. That's just me throwing some shots. But again, I'm not
His
saying he's
attributes
great
are
or
low.
not great. I'm just saying I was curious on how people who actually watched them play ranked him amongst quarterbacks. That's all.
We said Dan Marino over Aikman.
That's all I want to
yeah.
see. You know, I'm not going to be like the kid with Cam Newton. That's my issue, right? I never got to address it.
But let me ask y'all
These
this
kids
question,
are
though.
scary.
So before we wrap up this topic,
Go ahead.
I want to ask this before I forget: is Cam Newton no question a Hall of Famer?
He changed the game, man.
Wow, he might not get in there. I'm not going to lie.
He might not get in there, but if you're asking me, he changed the game, and that's what to me a Hall of Famer is supposed to be about.
Ain't no way.
But that's why I love the NFL Hall of Fame to a certain extent.
Are anybody
MVPs
not in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, it got to be. It has to be.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
MVPs.
I don't think so. At quarterback, I don't think so.
It has to be.
I don't think so.
Only because the NFL, you know, the reason why I like the NFL to a certain extent, their Hall of Fame, because they're a little too strict. But I feel like basketball, so many people get in there. You just all right. So Sean Alexander, Steve McNair, Boomer Esiason, Joe Theismann.
I'm gonna shake my head on that one.
Theismann's
Ken Anderson. Oh no, now I'm starting to get to the old. So I would say the modernish era, everybody that won MVP, you know, outside of, you know, we going to the 2000s, you got Gannon, who's probably not going to get in, but McNair. I mean, McNair, you can say he changed the game.
He's borderline.
Yeah, Sean Alexander. But other than that, you know,
Sean's not getting in.
Yeah, when it comes to the new generation,
I think Sean Alexander should be in the Hall of Fame. Sean Alexander was one of the most consistent. Yeah, well, Fred had some.
Fred finished like top 5 all time when he retired.
Yeah, but Fred.
I know he had the historic season,
but Fred Taylor finished pretty high too. He finished pretty high on the list too. But I think
Fred Taylor finished in the top 10.
Yeah,
but
and
he's
probably the only person that has that amount of yards that's not in the Hall of Fame.
Like, but Fred Taylor, to me, if you look at Sean Alexander and Fred Taylor had about 4 or 5 years where he was just there getting extra yardage. And Sean Alexander, every year he was playing, he was relevant. I think the same thing for Frank Gore.
Sean Alexander had
Fred has 2,000 more yards.
He's 8th all time in
Sean Alexander.
I'm sorry, that's rushing touchdowns. Hold on. Let me look at
this dude Damien
Fred Taylor has 11,000 yards, and everybody that has that or more, well, the people that are ahead of him all made it. So like you got Steve ahead of him, you got Thurman Thomas, Franco Harris, Marcus Allen, Edgerrin James, all those guys have it. But like he's not in there. Steven Jackson's not in there. Corey Dillon's not in there.
I think Steven Jackson should be in there.
He should be in there. Why not Fred Taylor?
Because I don't think that they had the same impact.
And he's going against the best defenses in that Central Division back in the day.
I just think that would knock Fred Taylor and Steven Jackson, because I believe Fred Taylor should be in, but towards the end of both of their careers, injury bug had bit them.
Yeah.
And they weren't playing like that. Yeah.
I'm just looking at 1,200 yards, 14 touchdowns, 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns, 1,300 yards, 1,500 yards, 1,200 yards, 1,100 yards, 1,200 yards. And I'm looking at, top running backs and saying, I don't know why he's not in there. But again, NFL Hall of Fame is hard to get in. That's why I like it a little bit more than basketball's Hall of Fame. But sometimes they're a little too strict.
Too strict? I think basketball.
Why wasn't T.O. a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Politics.
Too
That wasn't
strict.
about strict.
Yeah, it was politics. That wasn't strict.
Dang.
Regardless, it shouldn't have happened.
So
It shouldn't have happened.
Look at what's the dude from the Cowboys who got all those rings and still not a Hall of Fame?
The wide receiver.
Kenny can help probably.
Kenny,
help
the
me.
old school, no, the original '88, the original
He
'88.
just got in.
He did.
White Cheese Johnson.
Preston Pearson.
All
He got
right.
yeah,
in.
Pearson just
Oh,
got in.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say he had accomplished a lot and still wasn't able to get in the Hall of Fame, but now he in now. So
Oh, I'm looking at this list. Yo, Sean Alexander is not top 25 all time.
No, he's not.
That's crazy.
I tried to tell you that he only had 5 seasons.
Wow. Even Shady got him.
He had 7. Sean Alexander. No,
Is Shady a Hall of Famer? He got rings.
Shady out 22.
Shady should be a Hall of Fame.
Shady should be a Hall of Fame.
Shady
He was a
changed the game.
dynamic running back. He changed. He played.
Even your boy,
special
made
teams.
Jamal
me love
Lewis is
football.
top 25.
I tried to tell you about Sean.
I didn't realize that. He fell off the cliff hard.
He had 5 years.
He ain't
5
never
and out.
was on the cliff.
But
He
hey,
only played.
you know
He
what,
only
though?
played 8 seasons.
And you know who he's in the same category with?
Who?
Priest Holmes.
Yeah.
Both of them had a stretch of like
Larry
4 or
Johnson
5
too.
years. Larry
Johnson
That's
too.
another one.
Jamal
But
Lewis.
see, here's the difference, guys. Here's the difference. Steven
Ooh.
Jackson.
Eddie George
Steven
not in the Hall of
Jackson
Fame?
has to be. No,
No,
not yet.
I don't. No,
Steven,
no.
yeah, but you
Is
guys gotta also
Marshawn
factor
getting
in
in the Hall of
who's going to be qualified to be in the Hall of Fame the same time
No,
as them.
Eddie George ain't top 25 either. I'm looking at this.
No,
list. This is
but
crazy.
Steven
Marshawn's
Jackson-
not top 25. Does he get in?
Marshawn Lynch.
No, I don't think
Marshawn
he'll
Lynch is
ever get in.
29th.
Marshawn Lynch is a Hall of Famer.
I'm,
Period.
I'm asking. He's 29th right now. I'm
He'll
asking.
never get in because of the media. Because of how
Yeah, I'm gonna say politics the same way
Nah,
they did TL.
nah, you can't say
If
that.
they do
He on
that, if they do
commercials,
that,
people love
they do
him
that
now.
to T. Yeah, they might TO.
Yeah,
You
but
gotta
they're not
show
in that
He's
role.
definitely a Hall
ESPN.
of Famer.
They're not
You
in
gotta
that
show
No,
role.
but Steven
ESPN.
Jackson. Steven Jackson needs to be a Hall of Famer, y'all. He got
No, he
11. He got 11,000 yard season. I mean, he got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,000 yard seasons. He has 3
18
seasons.
full-time.
He has 3 seasons where he didn't make it, and 1 season where he didn't really play at all. So when he was on the field,
Product of a
the
system.
dude was getting you 1,000 yards. What?
Nah, Steven Jackson was tough.
Bro,
What you say, Ray?
total yards
Yeah,
for
chill
scrimmage. His third
Ray
year
trolling.
was
Your shit was
2,400.
He had Mark Bulger as his
You see him
quarterback.
smiling,
Bro.
right? You see him smiling. That's when you
Steven
know Ray
Jackson was
trolling.
dragging
You can't
people
keep the
too, just
smile
like
on his face.
Marshawn.
He had Mark Bulger as his quarterback. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
Mark had a little run in him. Don't disrespect
y'all.
Mark Bolger.
But
This is
Kenny,
why we don't
Kenny,
get
I'm
to no
looking at it.
topics,
Sean
'cause Ray be
Alexander's
throwing out
8 in
outlandish
rushing
stuff.
touchdowns. It's
He
only
is
it's only
all-time.
9 people with 100 rushing touchdowns.
That's
Sean
what I'm saying.
Alexander
So
is one of
that
them.
is big. He's 8th all
He had
time.
27 in one season. Yeah, that helps.
But that is
But
huge,
we're
bro.
saying, though, that's
You got
still an
100
accomplishment.
touchdowns in 8 seasons?
5. He was trash in 3 of
5.
them.
Wait.
What?
If I'm not mistaken, he got a Super Bowl ring, so I see why they gave it to him. Never mind.
Who?
Terrell Davis didn't he only have like 5 seasons?
I don't even want to
Yeah,
talk
he
about
got
it.
a. I think he had
he's
2 rings.
He the same.
Is it because of the rings?
Gotta be.
It's that team, period.
And he almost.
Because if that's the case, you got to put Unc brother in there.
Who?
Sterling.
Sterling Sharp.
Come on, man. We just giving out Hall
Well,
of Fame
no,
advice these
we
days.
ain't. No,
No,
we
we're
ain't.
not.
No, we
No, we're
not.
not.
Sterling
You
Sharp,
gotta look
first
at
of
his
all,
You
was
don't think
one of
Sterling
the
Sharp
best
belongs
receivers at
in
the
the Hall of
time.
Fame, Ray?
That
you
4 or 5
crazy?
year run was something serious.
Hall of Fame needs to have some longevity to it, attached to
No,
it.
but that's what I'm saying.
All right.
This
But
ain't
if-
the
no, no.
rap hip hop. This ain't
But
the
if
rock
you're
and roll
gonna
hip
put
hop Hall
Terrell
of Fame. You
Davis-
get a
no, no.
one hit wonder.
But if you're going
when
to
you get
put
into the Hall
Terrell
of Fame.
not
put
100
Terrell
wonder,
Davis
get that
in
out the
there.
way. Get that away. Not a
So,
one-hit
so
wonder,
what
but
is the
it's-
Hall of Fame for? Because I don't understand it, man.
Because
One
I'm
second
looking
we
at-
talking
I'm
about-
It
looking
should
at
be
one
for the
second we
best
talking
of
about
the
Zach.
best.
I'm looking at when
Okay.
Jerry Rice is
Can
in
you
his
tell
prime.
the
this dude's
history
getting
of this
Triple Crown.
sport without this player?
So my
Yeah, but-
point exactly.
There's a lot of
Terrell
guys that
Davis
probably don't
shouldn't
deserve
be
to be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree.
But you,
You hear what
but at the
Prime
same
Time
token,
said?
Terrell
But at the
Davis
same-
brought this to the game.
Bro,
what? Did you just tell me that he got into the Hall of Fame for some
2,000
saluting?
yards. Nah, we're not gonna do that. Like he ain't went for 2,000 yards one season.
Nah, he cooked. I said he should be in.
Shout on
But
Sean
that's the same
Alexander had how many
conversation.
rushing touchdowns?
Thank you. In how many
What's
years?
the difference of that?
Average it
Don't
out.
nobody think about Sean Alexander today?
Don't nobody
That's
think
not
about
our
Terrell Davis
problem.
today.
You tripping.
If you don't,
What?
if you're a casual fan,
TD.
if you're a casual fan of football, Terrell Davis will walk right by you, and you won't notice.
No, you know better than that. That bald head dude. One is on TV.
Again. If you're a casual fan of football, these kids, when they talk about running backs, I heard none of them bring up Terrell Davis.
Hey,
I ain't never heard
what?
him bring up Sean Alexander other than
You know what? Hey,
Wow.
I'm not trying to downplay Terrell Davis.
You're gonna think you're talking to Morris Chestnut.
Chris, I figured it out. You got a team though to watch, so I get it. You know, I even have some respect to my team. Kenny, you got Dallas. You over here, you just don't want to watch anybody in Washington, so I get it. You
we have 3 rings. What are you talking about? We got 3.
Hey, let me ask you this.
You can hold on to those?
Hold on. Let me ask Ray. Clinton Portis, is he in the Hall
Show
of Fame?
is petty. Your ass that man.
He would have been, but I don't think he's gonna get in. Especially not.
He should have been.
I think he should have been, but
Why?
he's not.
Why?
Because he in that same category of only having about a 5-year run.
Nah, he had a couple in Denver and a couple in Washington.
No.
He's pretty more than 5.
He had a 6-year run.
He's 32
I'm looking at
all
the stats
time.
right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
If he that low, then no.
He had a 6-year dominant run, but he had a 6-year run.
So
he fell off like Sean Alexander fell off, or he like
yes.
Okay.
I don't know if it was because of injuries.
So wait. Are we looking for a 10-year career? Are we looking for the best of the best at the time?
I gave you the criteria. I think the Hall of Fame should be for the elite, not the very good.
But that's my question.
That's
my question, though.
It got to be.
And I think the players we're naming are very good. They weren't elite.
I feel as though you got to be the elite of the elite, but also if you were the best in your era, you should deserve credit for that. That's all.
Thank you.
I'm not going to put you the best of all time, but throughout, let's say you played from 2010 to 2020. If you were by far the most dominant player in your era, then I'm not saying that's automatic, but it has to be taken into consideration.
Okay.
Way big.
So
that should be.
Let me ask a question. So we've thrown out a few names here, right? So all these guys in the same category. We said who? Sean Alexander, Terrell Davis. Who else do we talk about? Priest Holmes. Somebody else, Clinton Portis. So that's 4, right?
Oh, Clinton.
Because I'm looking at Clinton numbers.
I got another one
They're
too.
Very good.
That could be in that category too. I think Matt Forte.
Oh, but
Jamal Lewis.
He's a different kind of back.
Jamal Lewis was in it. Yeah, I don't think Matt Forte was.
No. Matt Forte. If we talk about changing the game, he was one of the, he was McCaffrey before McCaffrey.
But I'm saying,
I agree.
All of these
do not
guys,
act like LaDainian Tomlinson didn't exist.
So here's my question though.
You got all of these
guys we talked
disrespect.
Marshall Faulk too.
Steven Jackson. He's in there too. So out of all of these guys we're talking about, who do y'all think is the most? Well, let's take Terrell Davis out because he's already in. Out of all of the other guys we talked about, who do you guys think is the most deserving of the Hall of Fame?
Fred Taylor.
None.
Well, I'm not even putting Fred Taylor in there because I think he had.
Adrian Peterson's in yet?
I'm talking about other 5.
Adrian Peterson didn't. He hasn't been 5 years yet, bro.
Yeah, he's automatic.
I'm talking about the guys that
come on now.
just had like this kind of similar.
None.
Davis had that.
No.
That 5 or 6 year run.
I got
none are going to get in. And I'm not mad at Ray for that answer.
I got 2 or 3 that you named, Kenny.
Is the most deserving.
So I got Marshawn Lynch because what Marshawn Lynch meant to his team and the way that he played the game at that time.
He had a longer run than that. 5 or 6.
He did, and his longevity, like he meant that to each team that he was on, even though he didn't win one with all of them.
His was longer too, so
I was gonna put Gore in that too. I think Gore played a lot of
but he's been playing like
Frank Gore's
15 years.
Though. Frank Gore's automatic.
Yeah, Frank Gore's automatic. But I think that Marshawn Lynch and Steven Jackson are 2 of the most deserving on that list. I think that during the time when it was Marshawn Lynch time, to what Chris was saying, in that era, when it was Marshawn Lynch time, it was Marshawn Lynch time. We knew what was about to go down. And then same thing with Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson was one of those guys where if you're playing the Rams at that time and Steven Jackson's healthy, he's putting $150 on you.
A lot of business decisions when it came to Steven
Jackson.
Right.
And that's great.
Before you go, Ray, real quick. I will agree if you're going to say something I think you're going to say, to your point, it has to be the best of the best, but it should be, you have to, in my opinion, take in consideration how dominant you were in your era. But I also agree with what you said, and I agree with a lot of things you said. You know, can you tell the story of football without you? You know, if you can, you automatically in there. You know, if you can tell without you, then that's when you start to look at those other criterias.
Add this to what you're saying, though, Chris. Add this to what you're saying. When we talk about these running backs, who were the middle linebackers? Who were the outside linebackers that they were getting 150 yards a game?
That's why
on?
I say Fred Taylor.
Big.
Fred Taylor was going against Ray Lewis, Zach Thomas.
Right. So was Steven Jackson, though. So was Steven Jackson.
Bruh, don't nobody care who you played against and all that funny business.
That's
in
you.
Well, because then if y'all want to do that,
the conversation. Oh well, he was a quarterback in a tough division. Like, no, we don't.
I was going to say, because if we do that, I can almost fight for Priest Holmes and Ricky Williams.
Ricky Williams is different than Priest Holmes.
Is Ocho Cinco Hall of Famer?
Yes.
Should be.
Okay.
Yes.
So y'all ain't answer my question. So out of those running backs that had that 5 or 6,
I did. I said I don't think any of them.
Okay. So who do you?
I said Marshawn and Steven.
Out of the guys, so I can't include Fred Taylor. I think Marshawn is probably gonna get in there. Super Bowl ring, longevity. He's probably gonna get in there.
Yeah, and to me, Marshawn is not in that list because I think he had a longer run. I think he had at least about a 7, maybe 8 year run of high level football. So to me, he doesn't fall in that category.
When I say Hall of Fame running backs, none of those guys come to mind.
But wait. Hold on,
I think I'm with you, Jay, with Steven Jackson.
But hold on, Kenny, because you say that, Marshawn, you feel like he had a longer run. But honestly, with the guys that we just named, their run was a solid 8 to 9 years and then some fillers.
No, that's not true.
Bro, you need to look at the dang thing. I'm looking at it right now.
You might be looking at one of them players. A lot of them players didn't have no 8 years.
So look, check this out. 1, 2, 3.
Do y'all think if Ricky Williams didn't take his little high hiatus, do y'all think that Ricky Williams' career would have been different?
Mm-hmm.
So wait, hold on, y'all. I'm looking at Steven Jackson's numbers, right? So he had 1,046, 1,528, 1,002, 1,042, 1,014, 16, 1,241, 1,145, and 1,045.
That was 8 years.
That's 8 years, man.
Now look. Let me explain. Let me back up what I was saying. There, you just did Steven Jackson. All right, here's Fred Taylor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,000 yard seasons. The rest of them were under. Shaun Alexander had 5,000 yard seasons. He played an 8 year total. The other guys played 12 or 11 or 12 years and had only had 7 or 6 seasons over 1,000 yards. So what I'm saying is the chunk of the running back was about 8 years anyways. Steven Jackson just got injured after it and left. The other guys, they did that, and then they went to another squad and played, less amount of carries and things. So I get it, what you're saying, Ray, but it's not that much. Emmitt Smith, those guys back in the day, yes, they grinded it out. They played a lot more. It seemed like, Emmitt played how many years? Emmitt played a lot.
I feel like forever.
Yeah, Emmitt played a lot. I think Edgerrin James even played a lot, but these are the guys,
the best running back of all time? Is Emmitt the best running back of all time?
No, we've already been through that.
I wasn't here for that. That's why I'm asking.
Oh,
no. I can name 12 running backs right now ahead of
you. Now you're going too far.
All right.
No, I didn't say that.
Mr. Ray, there's some topics on here I want to discuss, man.
Yeah,
can we put that on the next? Can we put that on the next one?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Do you have one in particular?
I definitely want to talk about 2, 4, 5, and 7. If I had to pick them.
So we gotta get to it. We only could get about 2 of those in.
That's fine, but that's fine.
We mentioned it earlier, so we can talk.
Okay, 7's for sure though.
Absolutely. And that'll just all play together. Okay. So, everybody, there keeps being reports. I don't understand why. The Warriors can't keep anything in house, apparently. I don't know why they are sharing everything with everyone.
They got a mole.
But this new media is very talkative, and all these players of podcasts keep trying to outdo one another, and they just keep talking.
Mm-hmm.
Drama queen.
Yes, indeed.
I am not a fan of it. Like, I'm kind of sick of hearing guys talk. I'd much rather hear them play. But I have been skeptical of the Warriors and Chris Paul because y'all know I can't stand Chris Paul, and I think he's one of the worst teammates ever. I think
the president of the Players Association.
Hey, Ray, I'm on your side for a little bit, man. Just don't jeer off.
See what I can do. You had a problem player, and you traded a problem player for arguably the biggest problem player in modern NBA history. And maybe the culture is great enough to overcome it. I don't know if I truly believe that. And Klay Thompson and Chris Paul apparently are silently beefing over who's going to be the starter. Draymond has said he didn't like Chris Paul, and he's not exactly embracing Chris Paul. He has to talk to him first.
But can we at least be like well aware as, you know, the other side of media that shit ain't true?
What you mean?
Ain't nobody silently beefing about who's starting over there. That is BS.
Yeah, I'm not buying that one.
You don't think Chris Paul wants to start?
I don't care what Chris Paul wants.
Yeah, but you know what reality is like.
Right.
So you know what Chris Paul represents, and now you want him to come off the bench.
No,
That's going to cause a problem.
First of all, I don't even know why you was positioning
I
it.
think it's known he should be off the bench. In my opinion, I feel like the obvious answer is him off the bench.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
You guys are talking as you guys. I'm saying
no. As Chris Paul, Chris Paul probably still wants to start.
But his pride is not going to. I was going to say his pride is not going to let him say that I should be coming off the bench.
So I agree with you on that, right?
So that's a problem.
But that's emotion. We're talking about reality.
When training camp starts and everything, his emotions might change. When he gets in that building, everything might change. But I agree with you, Ray. Once I got traded, I think I should be in the start.
So you think? Let's play this out. Hypothetically, Chris Paul outplays Klay Thompson in training camp.
It's not going to work for the team, though.
It's not going to work. It won't happen.
No, he can outplay him. It's possible.
You're saying it's impossible. He can't even outplay him in training camp?
No.
At his position.
I think Ray. I think he can outplay him. My only issue is I don't know how that works together in a starting line.
So that's where I was getting to.
Okay.
In the event he came in there wanting to be the starter. Mm-hmm. 2, I outplay him in practice, in training camp. When we get together, me and Steph, for whatever reason, it's magic.
Yeah.
And then the season starts, and they send me to the bench, and I am not closing out games because maybe we need a big on the floor. Y'all don't see how that could become a problem for Chris Paul?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Chris Paul is such this.
When has he ever displayed what y'all are giving him the credit for being?
So first of all, I think that you said this leading into this. We know how you feel about Chris Paul, but I think that you're not giving him any credit whatsoever. The dude is one of the best basketball minds out there.
Is or was?
Is
minds.
One of the best basketball minds out there. And I think stepping into that situation, when he read the text message that he was traded, he knew he was coming off the bench. You don't go into a dynasty that has multiple championships as a non-champion and say, I'm going to disrupt what's going on here, period. So regardless of how you feel about how you play,
how can you say that when he didn't even know he was getting traded?
I said, when he read I was traded, he knew right then he was going to the bench. Because again, going into Golden State,
we all thought he might get traded again.
We did, but
when
you got to take it
to Golden State.
Right.
Yes. We thought he might get a buyout.
We thought there was going to be other moves made. I don't think any of us at that time thought, he's coming in to come play off the bench. We were like, what are y'all doing?
Agree to an extent, because if you want me to think that Chris Paul is sitting over there thinking that he's going to start against Clay, I want you to believe that Chris Paul thought he wasn't getting moved again.
Yeah, to me, this is a whole lot. This is much ado about nothing.
Right.
I think at this point in his career, I think Chris Paul is going to do what's in the team's best interest. So if that means him coming off the bench, he's going to come off the bench. That's exactly it. Like, if he feels like this is going to be the best situation for him to get a ring, he's not going to rock the boat. So I think this is much ado about nothing.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ray, on the aspect of Chris Paul's Chris Paul, and he's going to want to start. But you got to also understand on the flip side, Chris Paul knows he ain't coming up in here and starting. And then he didn't think they were going to move him again. He's Chris Paul.
We didn't want him.
Who's we?
Wizards.
The Wizards.
Because you guys were not doing that. You guys were going to hold.
Y'all didn't want him.
No, we wanted to bring him back. We were hoping that they got bought out.
Yeah, they're trying to get up that contract.
So y'all didn't want him.
No.
I think that was more of a money thing than it was.
So then you didn't want him. Everybody wants somebody for a cheap price.
Listen, you ain't about to put the words in my mouth and
make
me agree with that. It's just like you ain't never seen an organization renegotiate a contract?
Right.
Yeah. And they didn't do that.
Because they thought by trading him and him
because they didn't want him.
He was going to get bought out.
He had a partially guaranteed contract. Either they was going to pay him, what was it, $15
million? They thought they were going to trade him to Washington. We would buy him out, and y'all would just get him back for cheap.
Yes, 1,000%. We thought we was going to pull LeBron.
That is the epitome of why your team needs to sell. Because that's idiocy.
Why? It ain't never happened to LeBron James?
LeBron James got bought out?
No. I'm going to say it again. It ain't never happened to a LeBron James team.
What didn't happen?
He trades players. They go to the next squad. They get bought out. They're back on LA or back in Cleveland or back in Miami.
Not Chris
3
Paul.
months later. No, I didn't ask you that. See, now everything has to be catered to a certain way. Like, no.
We're talking about Chris Paul.
Making $15.6 million.
If this was Mo Williams in year 12, yes, I'll give you that. Mo Williams in year 12, he can get cut and probably get back to LeBron. Chris Paul was freaking Chris Paul.
Didn't Iguodala do that to get back to Golden State?
When nobody wanted, when he left, I think Memphis, and that's because nobody wanted him.
He chose not to play in Memphis.
But he quit
because he wanted to go back to Golden State.
But that wasn't a trade and buyout and all that.
Yes, they traded Iguodala to Memphis.
He refused to play. That's different.
I think
Chris Paul was going to play. If we would have let him.
On what I'm trying to say, man. Chris Paul was not about to play in you just being hopeful for your organization. Chris Paul.
I didn't want him. I was pissed when I don't want him in Golden State. I'm not hopeful at all. I think he's a cancer that's going to destroy the team that's already fractured.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
I watched what happened with Ayton. I watched what Washington did, and I watched.
Fair.
Okay,
I will say this.
Listen,
Chris Paul is a very controlling type of guard.
How many teams has he elevated? Teams has elevated.
The records were good. What were the teams like in the locker room?
The players, they call him the point guard, man.
No, not everybody. There's 50-50 reviews on him, Jay. Let's not do that.
No, you're talking about in the locker room. You're talking about in the locker room. I agree with you in the locker room. I agree with you.
I don't hear a ton of players campaigning for Chris Paul.
I'm talking about on the court as well. You look at him and how we made DeAndre Ayton less of a player because all I want you to do is set screens and roll to the basket. I mean, we seen Blake Griffin, but when we went to the Pistons, he didn't have that with the Clippers. He did, but he wasn't allowed to show it. So it goes 50-50 for me.
Yeah, I think he's elevated way more franchises than he's hurt. That's a fact.
For sure. Yeah. And players.
So, I think a cancer. That's a bit of a.
That's a big word.
Yeah, man.
I look at every single one of them teams had toxic locker rooms by the end.
That's just the big word. That's all. That's my only thing. That's just cancer.
Yeah, I'm not
is a
sure.
big word.
You don't got to, but I said what I said.
I'm not going.
And I don't
I'm not
want
putting
you to
that on the
be
Clippers. I'm not putting that on OKC.
I'm not putting that on
on
Phoenix.
the Rockets. So
I'm not even
which
putting
one
that
are you
on
talking
Phoenix,
about?
man.
To me, it's just Phoenix. That's the only one that
I'm not putting that on
you
Phoenix
could
because
say that
we
for.
already it's been in the public
That Rockets team was a mess.
But wait, it's been in the public eye. It's been in the public that what's his name, Coach Monty and DeAndre had issues. It had nothing to do with Chris. It had nothing to do with anybody else.
Well, if you're the point guard, you can't do nothing to fix that.
Fix two other grown men?
That's your job.
No, it's not. My job is to be the point guard.
No. But my whole thing is he was the guy giving DeAndre Ayton the ball.
Wait a minute now. We're not going to say that, and then you're going to give Steph Curry a pass for all these issues that you supposedly talk about that's going on in Golden State.
Thank you, Kitty. Yeah, you got to think about that one.
You heard what I said. You heard exactly what I said. You're not going to sit here and talk about Chris Paul.
I was very clear. I think Steph sent the message. He stood with Draymond Green.
So, but I'm
That's
saying
not
the point
fixing
is
it.
that you're not.
They did fix it. They got him out of there.
They
got Monty out of there.
They got all these problems going on.
Thank you. And
What
what about this?
The Chris Paul problem? You want Steph to fix a Chris Paul problem that just got here a month ago?
No. You're like moving the goalpost.
Our issues. My issue was the Chris Paul issue.
Making up an issue with Chris Paul. We know all of the other issues that's going on in Golden State.
What other issue?
Jordan Poole,
Jordan
Kuminga and Draymond not getting along. Jordan Poole and
that's every NBA team has players that don't get along. The only drama.
So then, what's
Poole
the
and
problem
Draymond.
in Phoenix? What was the problem in Phoenix?
DeAndre Ayton quit. He hated being there.
No. That was very good wording. So he didn't get along with who?
From what I understand, anybody.
No. You're very crafty. He didn't.
I've been very clear on here. I didn't hear a single person come out and defend DeAndre Ayton.
We
not
talked
one.
about this. Hold on. We talked about the playoffs. How DeAndre gave up on Monty because Monty was yelling at DeAndre. We talked about what we saw on the sidelines. We talked about
how the entire team backs the coach. That tells me everything I need to know.
How did we back the coach when we got rid of the coach? But we kept DeAndre.
The management got rid of coach. The players weren't coming out asking for that.
You're not making no sense right now.
That makes perfect sense. The players, just like in Golden State, supported Monty Williams, in my opinion. If they would have traded DeAndre Ayton, there's not a single player that would have been upset about that, in my opinion.
Monty's not with the organization. DeAndre is. It's plain and simple. There's
the organization picked him, not the players.
You're crafty.
The same thing Boston did. When Boston fired Udoka, that wasn't a player's decision.
That was Udoka's decision.
That was the Boston Celtics decision. Because we also heard how some of these teams get down, and there's a lot of hypocrisy. We don't need to go back through that.
That's apples and oranges. We're not talking about we're talking about an off the court issue. This issue we talking about has to do with on the court. So to compare those two is apples and oranges.
I agree, but I don't think the Draymond Jordan, I don't know how much Steph could have done to stop him punching him, but I think he made a decision. And I think what Steph has said since, yes, we love Jordan Poole, will be cool forever, but we had to go in a different direction. I think he's led that situation.
But to Kenny's point, what about the Draymond and Kuminga situation?
There's no situation. Kuminga wants to take his spot. That's normal.
No, Draymond and Kuminga don't like each other. Kuminga's basically saying that Draymond doesn't like him and doesn't help him out
at all.
Shaq and Kobe didn't like each other. What are we talking about? You don't have to like each other.
No, you changing the goalpost.
That's not changing the goalpost. I'm talking about someone punching and assaulting somebody. Y'all saying he doesn't like me.
The point is,
we've all been on teams where people didn't like each other, but y'all had to play together.
The point is that we can't talk about Chris Paul having all of these issues on these.
Yes, we can. He did it at multiple places.
And just slide past and act like Steph Curry ain't having these same issues with his team.
He's not.
He is.
Chris Paul never had. With Chris Paul. Chris Paul was part of the problem. Steph Curry hasn't been part of the problem.
He hasn't even played yet. That's one part of it.
I'm talking in the past. The issues that Chris Paul has had with teammates and players in the league is a Chris Paul problem.
But we're talking about Golden State, though.
No, we're talking about Chris Paul. You just tried to compare it to Chris Paul. One player is, by most account, loved by most players. One guy is almost hated by most players.
That's not even this isn't even you can't even make this same comparison.
Go look at the stat. Go look at most hated players. Chris Paul's always at the top.
We've heard your point for about 3.5 minutes total.
And you're not listening.
No, we heard you. You can't pound it into us. The thing that's the thing that's going on here. Shut up.
Whoa!
It is.
God, dog.
What's that podcast called again?
It is what it is.
Oh my God, that podcast is hilarious.
Hey,
hilarious.
So
right now.
So no, but what I'm saying is, Steph Curry has played with almost the same group of guys over and over and over again.
That's
Chris
such a
Paul,
misnomer, but go ahead.
Chris Paul
rotate that Golden State roster all the time.
There's about 7 that are about the same 7 for the past like 8 years, bro.
That's not true. There's like 4. You forget Kevin Durant came in?
Steph, Iggy, Clay, Looney, Dre, what's the other one? The other power forward down there. But they've all been around they've all been around, bro. So hear me out. Hear me out.
He said 8, but go ahead.
Okay, I missed 1 or 2. All right.
Iggy hasn't played in like 5 years, but go ahead.
You just like to nitpick. Look, the whole point about it is Steph has been around the same group, is what I'm trying to get at, for a long time. So yes, you're right. He probably has a little bit more of guys on his approval status. He played with the core unit for a lot of years. Now, you take Chris Paul, who took his talents and went to LA and ruffled that up, then went to OKC and ruffled that up, then went to Houston and ruffled that up, then went to Phoenix and ruffled that up. So he's coming in and implementing his changes on the team because he's the point guard and things are going to go the way that he needs to do it. So yes, he's going to have more people not fuck with him. Period.
What a waste of discussion.
I'm about to say that. I think the bottom line is that as much as we talked about Chris Paul and having these issues, that there's other issues that's going on in Golden State that has nothing to do with Chris Paul that was going on before Chris Paul got there. That was my point.
And Steph hasn't done nothing for that.
Golden State
every single team has issues.
That's what we were saying about the Chris Paul situation.
No,
that's all we were trying to say.
Chris Paul is he is instrumental in all the problems everywhere you go.
I think disagree. Where we disagree is, or where we part ways is that
just like James Harden. At this point, James Harden is the problem. It's the same thing.
We agree, but I just don't think that you're giving enough.
Thank you, John.
Enough of an issue, or you're not putting enough of the weight on Steph Curry to have some say so over these issues that's going on in Golden State.
You do realize Steph Curry signed off on KD coming. He's had to make the biggest adjustment. What are we talking about?
What?
See, that's what I'm putting. The point is, like, you're still not acknowledging that they got all these issues going on in Golden State, and there's issues that got nothing to do with Chris Paul that was going on before Chris Paul got there, and he still hasn't even officially gotten there. If we were really being honest,
I'm not saying Chris Paul's is currently the problem in Golden State. I say projecting out.
Acknowledge there's a problem of leadership in Golden State. Let's just leave it. Let's.
That's what we were getting at.
I think this is Steph's team, and if Chris Paul falls in line, it's a non-issue. Jordan Poole didn't want to fall in line.
Let's reword the question.
Yes. So if you come in and follow Steph's leadership, it won't be a problem.
That's not the question.
If Chris Paul comes in and refuses,
hold on, Ray.
What?
You didn't understand the question.
No, we talking about not before Chris Paul walks in the door.
Just close him out.
Is there a problem of leadership in Golden State now?
But then that's where we were having the disagreement on. We were saying that you're putting this on Chris, like, hey, you're the leader in these other teams, regardless if he may be the cause of it, what you were saying, and I get that part. But on the Steph Curry side, if you're the leader of the team, just like you view Chris Paul, the leader of those teams, why isn't he handling the issues that are going on inside the organization like you expect Chris Paul to?
Y'all think Steph Curry is the leader of the team? Leader of the locker room?
Without a doubt.
Just
So?
listen. Just asking questions. Just asking. Just
I mean,
listen. Listen.
if he's the leader, why is he not controlling it?
I'm listening, just listening to everything and asking questions. That's all.
Are y'all kidding me?
Stop with the y'all word. Stop with the y'all word. I didn't answer.
People would say Draymond is more of the vocal leader on that team than Steph.
So
a
y'all
lot of
think
people would say that
if Draymond had an idea and Steph had an idea, and they both presented the idea, y'all think they would take Draymond's idea over Steph's in any scenario?
First of all, it depends on what we're talking about.
Pick
because
one.
If it got to do anything with the team defense situation, I think they're going with Dre.
Okay, pick Draymond over Steph if you want.
No. See,
that will get you fired.
No, let's put this to everybody. Who do you think is the vocal leader on
Draymond?
On the Golden State Warriors? Steph Curry or Draymond Green?
Vocal leader, Draymond.
Or the leader overall. We could put it all.
That team goes as
prior to last year.
No.
Prior
just
to last
that doesn't
year.
mean just because the team goes where Steph Curry goes doesn't mean he's the leader.
Correct.
Just because the best player, he could be the best player.
So if my ability directly correlates to our success, that doesn't make me the leader.
No,
absolutely not. You could be the best player and have no locker room control. How are you the leader of the team?
Because KD was the best player on that team.
I'm really asking.
Sitting here and it's making this a on the court thing. I'm saying lead the team. That's warm-ups. That's everything.
I'm saying, okay,
Steph
when I think
the tone.
Sean makes a great point.
Leader, I think of the guy that's leading the team as in the locker room leader, the guy that people listen to, the guy that
MJ
is
was
the leader.
The vocal leader. Suggs. Pippen was quiet.
Like that.
When
if y'all are telling me Jordan wasn't the leader on those teams,
that's Suggs. I'm telling no way. Pippen was quiet.
But let me ask
Jordan
you
was
this.
the vocal leader of that team.
And the
leader.
Let me put it like this: when you get a young buck coming in, a rook, couple year into the league, what do they always want to do with that guy? They want to pair him with a veteran to lead the locker room. They want to pair him with
that is to help him get up to speed. Every young buck that comes in is not to come in and be the leader of the locker room.
It's not just to get him up to speed, but it's to provide some veteran presence on that squad to lead in a direction off the court. On the court, the best player most of the time is gonna be the on the court leader, but that doesn't translate to in the locker room all the time. You know that.
Let's stick to the one example we're talking about: the Golden State Warriors. So yes, Draymond you can find some other example of somebody else that might be the truth. Udonis Haslem was the leader of the Miami Heat. I don't care about them. I'm talking about this Warriors team with this guy named Steph Curry.
Draymond is the most vocal person on the court.
Nobody's
is
disputing
the vocal person in the media. Draymond is the leader of the locker room.
If Draymond walks out that door and they replace him with another superstar, i.e., I don't know, pick somebody pretty good, the Warriors are just fine.
Let's just go around.
On the court.
Everybody
well, I don't know, Ray. I'm not saying he's more significant than Steph.
So if you take Draymond off that team and leave Kevin Durant there, what's the difference?
On the court or off the court?
Both.
Big difference.
You're losing defense. You're losing stuff.
Communicator.
You're losing some things, right?
Because these guys are so smart, they can't figure out how to communicate without.
I just think you're definitely losing defense, though. Your defense will not be the same.
But okay, so let me ask you this: if that was such an easy task, and that was such a,
I didn't say it was easy. I said he did it.
But if that's such a, because the way you did it was nonchalant, like, oh my God, it's gonna happen. If that's such an easy thing in the NBA, why are the people talk so highly of Draymond for what he does?
Because you're comparing the two. It's like that's the issue people have when they compare like Jordan and LeBron. You make one seem so much greater than the other, and they're both extremely great. I didn't say Draymond wasn't good, but if you're asking who's the leader of the team, Steph Curry's the leader of the team. He leads maybe the city.
I think it's debatable. I think you could
Go ask people in the Bay about Steph Curry. They like Draymond. Like I went there. I went to a game there. I did a podcast with people
We're
from
not
there.
talking about fans, bro.
I just think
So you
I don't
think
think
the
it's
players
I
in
don't
the
think it's
locker room
clear
like
cut.
Draymond better than
I
Steph?
think we probably
No, it's not
probably
about like.
But I'm saying we're probably speaking for the majority. We probably need to put a poll up. To be honest with you, but I think you could split hairs. Like I think it'll be
Draymond
50-50.
literally cost them a finals
But I'm saying
as the leader.
prior to.
So how could you say the leader
So
is
if he was
the
the
guy,
leader
but
then,
the
how was
other
he the
guy
leader?
cost him the
How he wasn't
finals?
leader
Oh yeah,
now?
that's a good point. That's a good point. That's a very good point, Jay.
If he was the leader then why is he not the leader now?
I was being sarcastic.
No. But that's my question though. If he was if Steph is the leader, how does he let the non-leader cost him the finals?
So what you're saying is you can be all great leaders can't have a lesser person mess it up.
Wait, huh? You have a very, 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 very
quote-
good way of crafting answers into questions to avoid answering.
That doesn't
the
even make
fucking
sense.
question.
He does though.
Check this
Straight
though.
diamonds.
I'm a quote a great line from one of my favorite movies. Remember the Titans. Attitude reflects leadership.
Ray,
Even
I
right
want to
So now
commend
we're
you, bro.
Disney
I want to
movies.
commend you, bro, because you have the wiggle down. You got the wiggle down.
But I don't even understand how that was even comparable. But if y'all think Draymond's the leader, y'all can think that, but y'all are wrong. Like, that's not even close. Let's get to these last two. Since we talked about it, did anybody watch the documentary? And then we can.
I didn't.
I watched halfway through it and fell asleep, but it was really, really,
What is
really,
it?
really
It's
good.
on Apple TV.
Yeah, how can I watch it?
It's Apple TV.
TV.
That
Okay,
bet, say
I'm
less.
Apple
I'll be
TV.
ready Thursday.
If it wins an award, I won't be surprised. Like
Me neither.
Okay.
I'm a
Is that
fan,
good?
so
No, it's really
obviously take my opinion.
It's a
with a grain of
documentary
salt.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Is it better than Kobe Bryant's Muse? Because that was
No.
one of the best things
Two-
I ever watched.
That was dope.
No.
Kind of different,
Hey, G's was
Kind
dope
of
too.
different.
But it wasn't better.
but I
It's
don't know
better
if
than
it was
better than the Michael Jordan one. It's
Really?
filmed
Yeah.
better than that. It's filmed better than that.
Okay.
But that was like a
But it
two-part series.
I was gonna say that was
True,
that was
true.
Like comprehensive.
But I'm
That
saying the way it was filmed, the
Yeah.
way it was filmed,
The way
is
this
better.
is put together, like artistically, is pretty dope. I will
Yeah.
say that. The
I
way they
like the
tie
way-
stuff together,
right?
it's really
and
well
how
done.
they
Apple
narrated
did a great
stuff,
job.
and they kind of
Okay.
bounced a little bit. Like it was, I liked it so far.
Yeah, really good.
I'm ready for that quarterback documentary on Netflix, though.
We can pick up there's too much football talk, and we don't got. I'm not
I'm
cramming. all
glad
this
football is
into
coming up too, man.
one. We got so Thursday. I think everybody's here. We got a big fight this weekend.
Yeah.
We got-
Yes.
Whoa, we
Definitely
have
on
the fight this
Thursday.
weekend.
Yeah, that's the one. We gotta definitely
The
pick
predictions.
Woo!
I gotta tell you, I still don't know how I'm feeling.
That. I got
I know
better
who I'm
know
going
it.
with.
We
I know who I'm
in,
going
bro.
with
I
100%.
know who I'm rolling with.
I know who I'm
100%.
going with.
But I
Nah.
That money's going on him immediately.
I know who I'm going with.
Thursday, but I got
I'll
my
save
pick.
it too.
I mean, I'm probably gonna stick with the pick I've had from the beginning, but
I'm
I
definitely
feel like
I'm
one guy
sticking with my
might be.
pick, too.
Here's what I will say: I feel like one guy might be hungrier than another guy.
I think one guy is more upset than the other guy.
I think one guy. I agree with that too. I think one guy is talking about his future plans already, and I don't like it. So
I think one guy is ready to dime. You know what? That's good way my pick. So I'm not even gonna say.
Let's wait till Thursday on that.
We'll spend some time.
Can we
on
do
it
number
on
5?
Thursday.
We can touch off on number 5 before we leave. We got 10 minutes.
Absolutely. That's
a good
actually
one.
where I was going to go. Since we'll leave the football stuff alone. So we talked about Chris Paul earlier. I've talked about Philly and the choke job that they're doing, and they're choking the offseason away as well.
My feelings not hurt. I say it before anybody else.
And then we got Mr. Two-ring Kevin Durant.
Wow.
The question I have for you guys is going into this season, who do you guys think has the most pressure? Obviously, the least is expected of CP3, but he's probably the oldest. Embiid coming off an MVP season that nobody seems to remember was his MVP season. Has basically been left to the gap between 1 and 2 is vast all of a sudden. And then we got Kevin Durant, who's never won anything away from Steph Curry. So who do you guys
He always finds a way, man. Always finds a way.
You know he's good for it.
Always
the facts are the facts. I don't make these up. I just report them because that's my job. Who would you guys say has the most pressure? Jay, I'll start with you.
Embiid. Durant has a ring. CP3 has gone pretty much his whole career without one, and now he's on a team where even if he wins it, there's going to be an asterisk. I think Embiid having that MVP season and then him being in such a tight race with Jokic the whole year and Jokic coming out on top and then going on to win the finals puts it in a bigger perspective. I think that Philly had more star power prior to Jamal Murray coming back to Denver than Denver did on their team. I know you're giving me that face, but I think with Maxey out there, I think when Harden's healthy, I think with Tobias Harris is healthy, I think you put him with.
You have two. Both of your forwards are better than Tobias Harris, by the way. But I'll let you continue.
But are you talking about
Michael
Phoenix?
Porter Jr.? Oh, my bad.
No. I agree with you. You're talking about Denver.
Yeah.
I think, but Michael Porter Jr. is a Tobias.
And Cam Johnson was better.
But Michael Porter Jr. reminds me a lot of Tobias Harris.
I'll take Michael Porter every day of the week.
But he can't stay healthy. So you look at the last 2 seasons prior to the season that they won this year, he wasn't staying on the court much.
That's true.
So I think with Embiid having those MVP seasons, really he's had three straight MVP seasons. You can only one person can win it, but Embiid's had really 3 straight MVP caliber
seasons. Okay, I can agree with
that. Yeah, I agree.
So looking at Denver, they're over their last 3 years, they've had way more turmoil on their squad than what Philly has. And so looking at that, man, and Jokic coming out and actually winning it, I think it goes on Embiid. And I also think that Philadelphia as an organization shares just as much pressure as Joel does this season. Because if he doesn't win, you got to make a move. You got to. And vice versa with Embiid. I think he should feel the same way. If they don't win this year, he should be wanting to make a move.
Facts. Get out of
there. Come on to New York.
But I agree on both sides of the fence. It would be a mutual separation. I mean, I don't think one has gotten more out of the other. I think it's going to be a mutual thing. I think that it's come to a point where what else do you do? Philly's not given. Philly hasn't been able to solve the roster issue.
Jay, I wanted to ask Chris this. Chris, were you more disappointed by Joel Embiid in the Sixers playoff performance or more disappointed in Carly Russell?
What?
You don't know who Carly Russell is?
I'm not doing that. I'm not touching that.
But how does this even?
I'm not touching that.
Can we let's keep on track, Ray? let's keep on track, Ray. Let's keep on track.
I'm asking about 4 hours long.
Let's just keep on track, Ray.
You are wild for that.
I think charges might be coming. God bless.
Let's just keep on track.
So go ahead. Well, Kitty, you go before Chris because he's probably gonna take it away.
No, I'm going KD. KD has the most pressure because you got probably two of the top 5. You got two of the best shooters in the game. Like probably 2 of the top 5, maybe 2 out of the top 5, maybe top 10 shooters in the game, and you're on your team in the same backcourt. Like you have a collection of talent. This is probably the most talent you had since
State.
Yeah, it's probably it's close. Kai and Harden, they can make a case for that one too.
No, they make a huge case.
You know what I mean? But I think he has, and I think the other thing is because of the way the things that ended in Brooklyn, because it was such a considered to be such a disaster. That's another reason why I think it for Durant he has more pressure on him. I think Embiid, I think that the turmoil, I think that they don't really consider that more his fault. I think it's more put on to Ray's point earlier that it's more put on Harden than it is on Embiid. So I don't think that he has as much pressure. And I think CP3, he just has to fit in. So I don't even think he has any pressure at all, to be honest with you. I think he has the least amount of pressure out of the three. So if I had to rank it 1, 2, 3, I'm putting Durant number 1 and then Embiid 2 and 3, and the distant third for me is CP3. But I think it's Kevin Durant and Joel Embiid. And listen, man, you had your wedding in New York. You know what I'm saying? You already love the city.
James Harden did not attend. He was partying with Lil Baby.
Well, that's not the here nor there. If you want to come to New York, we would love to have you. We got the draft capital. We got some pieces to make this thing
Y'all
happen.
have nothing that I want, man. Nothing.
So could you come on?
Give me Jalen Brunson.
Ooh.
Why would you do that? You got Maxey.
3-way deal. I don't know, man. I don't want nothing y'all have. Y'all suck.
Hey, man.
So,
Why you
you
sound? Hey, we went to the Philadelphia talk.
We went as far as you did.
Because I'm ready to talk, man. I've been quiet for too long.
We went to the Philadelphia talk, and he sounded depressed.
All right, let's just to answer this question. Is by far Kevin Durant. The reason why I say Kevin Durant is because can you win without Golden State? That's the big question. You couldn't win it. You couldn't win it. With the Thunder. Somehow, some way, he didn't get the blame for that. You won with Golden State. You were put on a pedestal. Those situation went down. You left. Nobody looked at you a certain way. Then you go to Brooklyn. To Kenny's point, nobody gave him the blame for Brooklyn. The way they folded. Okay, you want to leave. You go to Phoenix. Now you're with Phoenix. Okay, in the playoffs, it was just you and Devin Booker. Some of the best two-man basketball, one-on-one basketball I've seen. Those two guys are amazing. But now you have a full season together. Can you win? Because as far as a big three, y'all might have on paper the best big three, and you have a good big man who can give you a double-double. So you're right. I know how you feel, right? But like when I look at Kevin Durant,
number 1 pick.
It's like all right, it's like come on, like when will you win again? Because you had opportunity, quote unquote, super team after super team, and you're not being able to be successful. So I'm ready to see that. 2 by far as Embiid. I don't care about the regular season no more when it comes to Embiid as far as numbers. Can you stay healthy? That's the only thing I worry about. Yep. But in the playoffs, I mean, I'm not going to give him, he definitely gets blamed. Harden deserves a lot of blame too. But can you sustain the dominance you have in the regular season in the playoffs? That's what I really want to see. To go from 33 to 24 points is a big drop off. And, a lot of people can get to blame the Doc Rivers, the James Harden. At the end of the day, you're the number 1 guy. So all eyes are going to be on you. Now, when it comes to getting rid of Embiid, I came on this show and I said, if it looks like we have no future, you better capitalize on get rid of him the right way. You don't do a Bradley Beal trade and you get nothing back and you got lucky to get Jordan Poole. All right, you don't do that. What you do is you trade him for his money. First, I don't care if he has to go to Detroit.
You take one out of OKC's books.
You do whatever you
Utah's
can do.
Books.
However, with the addition of Nick Nurse and a guy that's from his hometown being available next year, the way I can see things happening is not saying you tank, but you get rid of Harden and you hope Nick Nurse can bring in a guy like Pascal Siakam. You have a Tyrese Maxey, and you start putting the pieces around those 3. Not saying that you're automatically going to win a championship, but for the future, I can see that being the future of Philadelphia.
I have one question for you before you move on from them.
Go ahead.
I feel like Tobias was your biggest downfall.
Oh, by far.
I feel like Tobias kept you guys from
nobody
being able to move past that
wanted
level.
Look, I'm a fan of Tobias Harris' game, but when you say we basically picked him over Jimmy Butler, and we picked him over, and we picked Brett Brown too.
You put your future in him.
I'm a fan of Tobias Harris, but not for that money that we gave him at all. Why? Oh, yeah, he deserves to get paid. But at the end of the day, you got paid more than all the NBA type of guys. So you have to perform on that level. You have to be consistent on that level. You have the talent. We saw you drop 18 almost close to 50, 40, 90, but you were never consistent of it. So that's my only issue with Tobias Harris in that whole contract. But third to me is CP3. To Ray's point, there are mixed reviews when it comes to him as a teammate. So if he's the reason, it comes out that he's not able to really, because I think he's coming off the bench with Kuminga, Moody, and all those guys. So if he can't uplift those guys, then okay, and CP3, what you doing? But for me, Kevin Durant is by far number one, and Embiid's second, and it's still pressure on him. When I look at Kevin Durant, and without injuries, he was going to break the scoring record. I don't care what nobody says. He's one of the greatest players of all time, one of the best scorers of all time. But it's time for you to show that greatness. And this is make or it's put up or shut up time. It's make or break.
So I do agree that the players around him kind of heighten his level of pressure, but I just feel like there's just more going on in Embiid and Philadelphia as a whole. Like, this is a make and break year for both on the franchise side. If something don't go on, we got to make a decision. And then also on Embiid, like how much longer do you stay in Philly and going through all these MVP caliber years and knowing that y'all ain't got it? You know what I mean? Like,
but I look at how he lost though. I look at Doc Rivers being a bad coach. I look at James Harden not living up to his potential. And not to say Embiid gets a pass. Not to say Embiid gets a pass.
He better elevate this team because Doc Rivers has gotten a whole lot of heat.
Oh no! All right, what he did with the Hawks was terrible, and that's just you know how I felt about Kenny. I said this immediately. That Hawks series, I came on the show and said I wanted Doc Rivers fired because it was just years after years of the same thing happening. However, Embiid does not get a pass. I will say it's been things that happen around Embiid. You can include injuries that hurt them in the playoffs. But I have seen Embiid I have seen him not be the same postseason guy as he is in the regular season. So that's why I say he's a close second.
Also, on the flip side of that, all of a sudden James Harden is shooting high amounts of shots, and all of a sudden when we get to the playoffs and you weren't doing it like that.
No. James Harden to me is the number one reason for this playoff run. He's my number one reason.
And Maxey was the best. Maxey has been the best Robin out of the whole squad that you've had with Joel over the last 5 to 6 years.
That ain't saying much.
All right, well, you haven't said who we got.
All right, let's get to it. For me, this is simple. Chris Paul, if he doesn't win this year.
Oh, his ranking is all time.
Got a vendetta on this guy. Go ahead.
He does, but I love it though, Ray, because I had my vendettas too, and I can't. Right. I'm gonna talk about them on Thursday. I love it.
At the end of the season,
okay, I'm gonna let you finish. I need to hear this. I'm really trying to understand. How do you say he has more pressure than Embiid and Cade? Go ahead. I can't wait to hear that.
So, what is it that Chris Paul needs? A title.
That hardware.
He needs a title for his ego and validation, for him to believe that he is who he thinks he is, even though
you to accept him as a Hall of Famer. Go ahead and say
that. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Famer.
But as all-time rankings of
point guard, in this generation of point guards, when you look at career resume and you look at disappointments, you look at teammates, Rondo figured out a way to get his teammates a ring. Like a lot of the other people that we would say
could go down as a better point guard than Chris Paul.
If you're in the Russell Westbrook era, the Steph Curry era, the Dame Lillard era.
Oh, he said Dame, Kenny. He said Dame.
Dame's valid. I'm not saying he's trash. I just don't think he's Steph. Leave Steph alone.
Oh no, that's not why I said that. Kenny, remember he's not the top 5 point guard in the game today. But we talk about another time.
We're talking eras. So when y'all look at that, and I think back to the history of the game, you fall in a very, very different category without a ring. A category that's Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant. I have issues with him, and I've brought it up here, but he got a couple finals MVPs. If he don't win again, everybody's still going to say he was the best team on the Steph Curry team. He's always going to have that. And then Joel Embiid is un-American. So what do we really expect?
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
What in the
He
entire
came in
hell?
with a straight face.
I can't even take. I can't
I
even.
don't understand.
He
He
took
couldn't
me
even
on
say
a
with
boat
a straight
ride.
face.
Yo,
He couldn't.
you
even-
have me
that's when
confused.
you know. Every time Ray is trolling, he can't say it with a straight face. That's the giveaway.
But no, I think he's just not in that league. He's just not
Who?
going to be Joel Embiid. I don't think he's built of the right stuff. I'm not going to call him DeAndre Ayton, but I just don't think he has that killer in him.
We're
and
talking about the same Embiid, right? That scored like
I don't know
50
about that
and like Joel Embiid there ain't no question in that man's heart.
I've seen Embiid in a number of marquee matchups.
No, Chris, listen.
No.
I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear that he takes a game off.
Because I watched Game 7. I watched Game 7, and I have not been more disappointed. I've not been more disappointed as a Philadelphia 76ers fan in a very long time.
Can you blame him?
He missed playoff games. Y'all remember? I think it was a year or two ago. He missed a playoff game because he was sick.
Real quick, Ray. Somehow, some way, the Sixers were still in that game going into the third quarter after him and Harden played terrible. Him and Harden both showed no heart in that third quarter, and the Celtics blew us out. And in the fourth quarter, why? Don't tell me what's the why. They were the only two playing bad. No, right, Jay. Everybody else was having their best game, from Maxey to PJ Tucker to Tobias.
You know why?
What's the reason?
Because after Game 6, them niggas went back. Them dudes went back to the locker room. And was like, "Hey, y'all don't want to play basketball. Y'all don't even want to be here. We ain't gonna." And then so the young dudes came out and.
So, but what's the difference from Embiid taking over in Game 6, or Doc giving the ball in the right place for him to take over in Game 6?
Because I feel like Game 6, he took over. He was doing his thing, but bro, they were getting zero help. You guys gave Embiid zero help the whole series.
No,
Maxey was the only one.
Don't say that. But forget all of that. Game 7. So what you basically just said is Game 7 he quit.
Yeah, I said, hey.
Hey, Jay, Jay seen Center quit in the playoffs.
Listen,
he's used to it.
Just sum it up. You can't quit. If you have heart, that means you're not supposed to quit.
And that's why I said Joel Embiid has a lot of DeAndre Ayton in it.
I'm not saying my star player has no heart. What I will say is what I saw in Game 7, I have not been more disappointed as a Philadelphia 76ers fan in a very long time after that Game 7 performance.
And let me tell you this.
I'm so damn when I'm talking about the Sixers before I go into tangent.
Joel Embiid isn't half the leader Steph Curry is. If he had half of Steph Curry's leadership.
Let's wrap it up. I'm trying to go to sleep.
He would be farther.
Roll the credits.
Y'all need to go watch that doc. That's what's wrong with y'all. Y'all think it's just me.
Hey,
that man is a game-changing, revolutionary, all-time great leader, teammate, inspiration.
Already sipping the Kool-Aid on Steph Curry. This documentary had you take a whole gallon. Like he drank whole gallon.
I watched the Muse. I watched the little animated joint he won the Oscar for. I watched The Last Dance. I watch all the stuff from people I like. I watched the Pacers 30 for 30. Listen, the boy is bad. Hole in one Steph. We didn't even cover that. We didn't even cover hole in one Steph. Next week, a topic: greatest two-sport athletes.
Listen, I'm leaving. Listen, everybody, see you Thursday. We're gonna talk about boxing, more football, some more NBA.
Greatest two-sport athlete.
I'm out of here.
Climbing the charts.
Peace, y'all. See you Thursday.
He's climbing the charts. Two sports.
And the key, tempo, hey time, let's go.
We bring that real talk when it comes to sports, covering the